Development Authority or whatever it is, are they paid or contracted under this line item?
Honourable Minister.
And Mr. Chair, the simple answer to the question is no.
Thank you. Honourable Member, Mr. Patterson.
For a question, sir, it's the Wales Development Authority or whatever the name is that was mentioned. Is that housed anywhere under your ministry, if not this line item?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the answer to the question again is no, but just for clarity, I wish to state that there is no Wales Development Authority as yet. There is a Wales Development Committee that is made up of representatives from different agencies, including the Ministry of Natural Resources, staff members who are on that committee, but there is no authority as yet.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 6284, order. Can you, 6284, order, yep. And so can you disaggregate the 212.6?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, 15 million goes to the third party inspectorate that is stationed on the FPSO. And as we are aware now, soon it will be for 2 FPSOs and not only one, because Liza Unity will start up very soon. 18 million goes towards subscriptions to a number of international agencies and journals, including, if I may name a few, Mr. Speaker, Global Platts, Bloomberg Terminal, One Petro, the International Energy Agency, Oracle Crystal Ball. These are all international agencies that helps us to track vessels and also assist us at the Ministry of Natural Resources to seek out the best prices, and also has helped us tremendously to reduce the demurrage fees or costs that the government of Guyana used to pay. 8 million, Mr. Speaker, will go towards the advertisement, design and printing of brochures and magazines for conferences like OTC, like the international conference that is coming up next week. Mr. Speaker, 88 million will go towards the review and evaluation of FDP, field development plans. 60 million will go towards the cost recovery audit. And Mr. Speaker, if I may just for clarity state that this is for the audit of the other blocks other than Stabroek, because there have never been any audits done on the other 7 blocks that were awarded, except for Stabroek, which we know that there is an audit ongoing and one that will start very soon as well too. 2 million for legal services and 20 million, Mr. Speaker, for the implementation of the local content secretariat, which involves the register, the portal, the database, certificates, etc.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Minister. Let's start off with the audits which you said are ongoing, which is for the Stabroek block, as you just mentioned. Where is that funds allocated in 2022 budget? Because you said the cost recovery audits are not for the pre-2015, pre-2018 audits.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The provision for that is catered under the World Bank loan that we have. It's in the capital for the very program.
The
Honourable Member, Mr. Patterson.
If you can't keep up, it's not my fault. FDP, sir, the field development, sir, the $88 million, which field development you're doing? Is that the current one, Yellow Tail?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I had to get the right pronunciation. And I think the right pronunciation is Waru Plus. And not, this is the other development after Yellowtail. And based on timelines and our interaction, the interaction between our technical teams and EPGL, we are expecting the field development plan for this Yaru Plus before the ending of 2022. So we're making provision for that now.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now Honorable Member Mr. Ramjatan. Honorable Member Mr. Patterson.
No, the same line 6294, sir. In 2021 you budgeted 170. Your actual was 171, and you're now going back to 127. So first question would be what was not implemented in 2021, and second question would be what is now budgeted to be implemented in 2022, because you fell short by 100 million in 2021.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in 2021, the allocation was made to cover demurrage costs, which we significantly managed to reduce due to prudent management of the sector by the Ministry of Natural Resources. We would have reduced. And this year, we are asking only for 53 million of the 127 to cover demurrage costs for 2022. And we're estimated to have at least 90 lifts in 2022 due to this 2022 due to the startup of Unity, as I mentioned earlier. The other provision in this 127, Mr. Speaker, is $41 million. This is for, again, third-party inspection, but this is GNBS, a local entity conducting this third-party inspection, and that has a full-time presence on the Destiny, and will also have a full-time presence on Unity as well, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 26, Ministry of Natural Resources, Program 264, Petroleum Management, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to page 643. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 26, Ministry of Natural Resources, Program 264, Petroleum Management, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. Line item 4404-600. Sir, this is the World Bank, the IDA's funded project. Sir, and there's several, there's 6 in the capital profile, there's 6 different subheads. So I start with the gas to power study. Can the Honorable Minister provide us here with an update?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I can provide an update for the gas energy project for the House and for the sake of our viewers and the people of Guyana generally. However, Mr. Speaker, as we know, the provisions for the gas energy project falls under the Prime Minister's office. However, as I mentioned, I can provide an update for that project. I think we would have exhausted a lot of time and energies explaining to the people of Guyana what the project entails, how it will be implemented, and the benefits that will bring the Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, it's not a project in the pipeline. It's a project in implementation stage. I think the Prime Minister did mention, and I think the Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson, as well as other members on the opposite side, know that part of the project is being funded from cost oil, covered under the PSA. However, the government of Guyana, through the Prime Minister's office, and as mentioned by the Prime Minister yesterday, the government of Guyana will be constructing the power plant. The power plant, Mr. Speaker. We know it is a project that would deliver 250 megawatts net power to the Guyanese people. And this is something I believe that all Guyana will welcome, even the members on the opposite side. I know they will benefit, all Guyana will benefit from it, but I can understand the scrutiny, and we are always open to that. And I want to assure the honorable member and the entire Guyana that there is no secrecy in this project. There is no hidden agenda or expenses in this project. Everything will be disclosed at the right time, of course, because right now we are only conducting the geotechnical, geophysical studies, the LIDAR, the environmental studies, the cadastral survey. These are all activities that are ongoing right now. There isn't any physical work that has started at the site as yet, hence the budgetary allocation and the Prime Minister allocation to start that work in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers. We had the Prime Minister yesterday, and as I said, he was quite clueless on it. I think you provided a more elaborate explanation. However, sir, the gas to power study that you have in this here, what amount of money has been expended? And I was hoping you go specifically to that, not to the whole project. You have a study in here. What has been done, what has been executed, what has been completed, the status of them, as well as the cost attributed in this budget for it. We know what the Prime Minister, even though he didn't explain and didn't know what to say, we know what the project you are trying to build. Superman.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I believe that what the honorable member is looking at is the profile for the World Bank project, which entails expenditure for the gas to energy project over a period of time. But none has been allocated under the Ministry of Natural Resources for 2022 to conduct any studies for the gas to energy project.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
I was hoping, I spoke to the Minister before, saying to be quick. I was hoping, can you disaggregate? Sir, there's 6 items under the legend in the capital profile. Can you disaggregate specifically 1 to 6, how much money is allocated, and then we can move from there. I was hoping we don't have to go through this.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, what I can do is to disaggregate the $200 million allocated to the Ministry of Natural Resources from the World Bank project and listed under the different components for that project. So I think that will probably clear up, and to justify or to show the member, the honorable member, that no monies were allocated to the Ministry of Natural Resources for the gas to energy project, even though the profile states gas to power study, which, among many others, which is the profile under the World Bank project. The World Bank project, as we know, it is a five-year program, which will come to an end in 2023. 2024. So obviously, maybe next year or the other year or some other time we'll come back for funding under the World Bank project under that head. But for now, I can give a breakdown of the $200 million under the different components. Mr. Chair, $22.4 million. $22.4 million is allocated to hiring of a law firm to provide legislative and regulatory support. Mr. Chair, we would have mentioned several times that we intend to have a model PSA, internationally recognized PSA, production sharing agreement, that will bring far more fiscal benefits to Guyana and the people of Guyana. Unfortunately, we have not had a discovery in the other blocks of commercial quantity until recently in the quarantine block. So work will have to begin this year on ensuring that we have a model PSA that will bring benefits, that will bring far more benefits to Guyanese than the Stabroek PSA. Added to that, Mr. Speaker, under this very provision, we would have promised to look at the Petroleum Exploration and Production Act of 1986, which we know it definitely needs to be updated with what is happening in the petroleum sector now, and this provision will start that process. Allocated to, Mr. Speaker, is $38.7 million for the third and fourth reports, the EITI reports. And under this too, Mr. Speaker, we have already contracted the independent administrator, the firm BDO out of UK, that is responsible for drafting or crafting that report. And of course, the MSG, the multi-stakeholder group, is the body that will review that report and make the final approval. Also, Mr. Speaker, as I would have mentioned, the audit of the Stabroek Block 2018 to 2020 is catered under this provision of $200 million again. Hiring of a technical firm to provide, $10.7 million, because we envisage this to be a multi-year process, but we want to start it in 2022. As a matter of fact, we are committed to ensuring that we start the audit in 2022 for the years 2018 to 2020. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to put that issue to rest. I want to see clearly that the government of Guyana is committed, is 100% committed to ensuring that we conduct this audit, because it is our responsibility as being a responsible government to ensure that we audit the expenses of oil exploration or in the oil sector. So we are committed to ensuring that we do this, but I know that everyone knows that there has been a slight delay in starting the process, and we also know it is because we want to ensure that we build local capacity. We cannot bring local content bill to the National Assembly for food, for providing food and engineering and welding and fabrication, and then we are going to outsource totally the auditing of our expenses. So we want to build capacity. To date, we have put together, not we, but we have worked with a local consortium to put together 4 leading firms in Guyana have come together to form themselves into that consortium. And they now will work with an identified international company. And we have ensured that in that TOR, the international company fully knows that it is a transfer of knowledge process. It is a training process. So it's not only doing the audit or conducting the audit, but it is also training or building capacity in our local auditors in Guyana. So maybe at some point in time in the future, we can have local firms conducting a full audit of expenses in the oil and gas sector. That is the idea behind this. And also, Mr. Speaker, besides from saving, this will also help us to save revenue. It will also allow us as a government and as a country to have up-to-date audit of the records and expenses. And we don't have to wait until 2016 to audit 2018 to audit from 1999 to 2017, or wait until 2022 to audit 2018 to 2020. But we can bring it up to date to maybe where we can even do quarterly or half-yearly audits, because we have the local capacity in Guyana. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, I want to assure all Guyana that we are committed to ensuring that we conduct the audit of the Stabroek block, to complete from 1999 to 2017, and to also complete 2018 to 2020, and then move into the other years. And as well, to conduct the audits for the other remaining 7 blocks, the Quarantine, the Kanji, the Kaichor, the Orinduk, the Kunuku, to conduct the audits of exploration in those blocks as well too. Because based on the work program that we have seen from the oil companies, and we've been working with them almost on a daily basis, the work program indicates that we will have significant exploration activities over the next 2 to 3 years. So at some point in time, we need to start auditing those operators as well, besides from just the Stabroek block and ExxonMobil. Mr. Speaker, also, there's a provision of $51 million to hire the technical firm. And this technical firm, Mr. Speaker, is the firm that will actually assess our petroleum sector in totality and to advise the legal team as to what changes are necessary or needed in the Petroleum Production and Exploration Act of 1986. And also, Mr. Speaker, in reservoir management. Mr. Speaker, there is also provision of $5.3 million for the design of our data, the consultant to start looking at the design of our data repository. It is June now. We have been in production since 2019. We've been in exploration for a long time, 1999. We have found oil since 2015. And at some point in time, Mr. Speaker, like all petroleum production nation, we must move to having our own data repository or data bank. Presently, we don't have it in Guyana. Presently, it is in Houston, and it is not advantageous for us as a country to continue in this manner, but to bring it to Guyana and to have it on-site or in-house so that we can be able to manage the sector in a more prudent manner. So this allocation, Mr. Speaker, is to do the assessment and the design for that data repository, to tell us what hardware is needed and how we can move forward in setting up that data repository. Mr. Speaker, also added to that is $23.7 million to hire the firm to conduct the SCSA assessment. And we would have already started this process. We would have already advertised this. It's at the National Tender Board, and we intend to complete this evaluation soon and to award the contract to the company so they can start working. And the component D, Mr. Speaker, which is $47.5 million, basically caters for project management. That is the salaries, the benefits, and the operational costs for the Petroleum Department, formerly Department of Energy. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I'll now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 26, Ministry of Natural Resources, Program 264, Petroleum Management Capital Expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum now stands part of the estimates. Thank you, Honorable Minister and your staff, for taking us through this agency's estimates. Honorable members, let us now invite the Minister of Public Works, or Ministers of Public Works, and the team to join us in front. And I ask you to turn to pages 240 and 241. Thank you, honorable members. I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 311, Policy Development and Administration Current Expenditure forms part of the estimates. Honorable member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, through you to the honorable member, may I turn our attention to line item 6113. No? 6113. This light giving some issues here. 6113. Other technical and clerical skill. Honorable member, I recognize for 2021, you had a revised sum of $7.7 million. But what I noticed is that you have an increase of $8 million. So with the same amount of staff remaining, can you explain for this honorable house the reason for the increases when the staffing details remain constant? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the honorable member for the question. Mr. Chairman, the increase here is not 8 million. The total allocation for the year is 8 million as against 7.7 million. It's an increase of 355,000, and as a result of 5%, a 5% increase.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable member, thank you very much for the correction. May I turn our attention to line item 6241, rental of buildings. Can the honorable member state for this house the buildings that you're currently renting, and also if we can get a location where these buildings are, and also a disaggregation of the buildings. And if they're too much, I don't mind you laying them over, honorable member. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, again, I thank the honorable member for the question. But Mr. Chair, you would recall that this is a matter that came up for public discourse and contention while we sat in the opposition benches. It's the honorable member who's asking the question, and our colleague who presided at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure that entered into an engagement with a distinguished Guyanese gentleman for the rental of a house to facilitate the UN offices. Every quarter, the taxpayers of Guyana pay $235,576 for the rental of this facility. It's just one building. And this is quarterly rental. So 235, 576 and 44 cents times 4. And this at an exchange rate of average 220 to 1 as a projection. This is what is responsible for this allocation. Not a rental that we engaged when we came into office, something that we inherited. And the honorable member who presided there is now asking me the question. Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Thank you. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. The same line item. Can the honorable member state how many buildings previously the UN occupied? How many buildings that the UN properly occupied are now in the possession of the government? How much rent the government previously paid? And previously paid, sir, and can the honorable member say that all of the UN agencies are now housed in this compound?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, it is obvious that the honorable member who's asking the question is trying to do some amount of damage control. But Mr. Chairman, did I hear somebody say this must answer the damn question? Yes. Did I hear that?
Honorable Minister, please continue. I don't know what you heard, but I'm listening quite keenly.
Mr. Chairman, the government of Guyana, as a state party, has a responsibility to host United Nations agencies in Guyana. Historically, these agencies were hosted at different places. But when you add the cumulative square footage of all of the 5 buildings that were being used before and compare it to what is being offered now, we are offering the people less and we are paying more. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, there is even no adequate parking for that facility as compared to what existed before. The honorable member who's asking the question couldn't get an answer because we are dealing with allocations and appropriations for 2022, but he would like me to discuss what was the expenditure of 2016 and 2017, which is not in this arrangement. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I will indicate to you that in as much as we were dissatisfied at the time, because we questioned this in the National Assembly, and all the questions that the honorable member is asking me, we asked him then to prove justification that this rental was a necessary rental, it was cost savings, and he was unable to provide that information at the time while he was a sitting minister. Now he would like me to come and defend that position. But what we're sure is that we continue the engagement because we are a responsible government and we are part of a state party. But even if we wanted to break this contract and find a better accommodation, which I think eventually the government of Guyana will do because we should build a proper facility to host all the UN offices. In this contract, sir, if you break the contract, you have to pay the distinguished gentleman who we are renting from 1-year contract. That's the nature of the engagement.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Before Honorable Member Ms. Patterson takes the floor, just want to caution members once again with the use of language. During the break, I had to send a personal note to the Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipol. I don't think he has retrieved it as yet with respect to the language he has been using while creating some amount of heckle in the land. So I'm now listening, keenly noting that the minister heard words or a word which would have been not allowed by me. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to detain this more. I simply like to ask the honorable gentleman, if he is aware that the UN selected the building, via the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and through what the interwar that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs were the one that requested the buildings, because buildings are being paid under the ministry. If the minister is aware that the UN selected what is now called as UN House and recommended it to us, wasn't the government again? Is the minister aware of that?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, I don't see how it relates directly to the line item right now. But since you made a speech, I'll ask the minister if he wants to respond.
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware, but what I'm aware of, if we had invested $5 million US, which we have paid the gentleman, it's $1 billion Ghana dollars, we would have had a facility that we could have been hosting the UN agencies comfortably on a plot of land that is owned by the state. If we continue this rental for 10 years, sir, it's $2 billion. 10 billion, just like that. We are going here over things that we know should not have been done. The state party has a responsibility. And while the state party has a responsibility, the UN will normally list some of the criteria, what they're looking for, and we try to accommodate that. But it must also be dealt with in the context of what the state could afford. And I think where we need to go in all of this, and I would signal that to the public today, is that we appreciate and welcome all the UN agencies operating in Guyana, and we will be working assiduously to ensure that they're properly housed in an energy efficient, cost-effective facility where they could all be comfortable. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you, can I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6272, electricity charges. I recognize that we had a budgeted sum of 48 million for 2021, and we would have expended some $19 million. So we have an approximate 12 million increase for 2022. Can the honorable member say the reason for the increases and the areas that will be benefiting from this allocation, please? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, what we did at the ministry last year was to ensure that we had proper reconciliation between our records and GPL. As a result of that reconciliation, we had cost savings. You would have noticed, and I should not say you, sir, but in the past, we questioned this because in the budgets that were presented by the APNU AFC, there were block sums in every ministry for electricity charges, and there were not necessarily reconciliation being done. We did the reconciliation and showed that we had savings. The budgetary allocation that is included here will also pay for what we have right now, and we are engaging on additional buildings for other things that we are doing, and that is catered for in this appropriation that is being requested from the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the honorable member. May I turn through you, Mr. Chair? May I turn the honorable member's attention to line item 6281, security services. Honorable member, I recognize that for 2021, we had a budgetary sum of $96 million, of which we, spent a little less than that. But what I recognize, there has been a significant increase for 2022, where this particular service is concerned. Can the honorable member share with us, one, the reason for the wide increase, and secondly, which areas are likely to benefit from such services in the ministry? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The reason for the increase is because we did not select privately a company to provide service, but we went out for competitive bidding following the Procurement Act of 2003. And it is based upon the lowest evaluated bidder that contracts were awarded, and we will do the same thing in 2022. But the areas that will benefit has to do with, one, the derelict site at Kurukuru, the pontoon that we have at Butukari, the 28-mile section of the Mabura Road, the Wizrock site where we have a stockpile, the permanent secretary's residence, Flat 18 at Ichilabar Villas, government building at Pleasance, Buscalis building in Kingston, government flats at New Market Street, special projects unit in the railway embankment, Collegian workshop, East Coast Demerara, the Kingston compound, which is 4th Street, Kingston compound as well, which is 4th Street. You know, we have two buildings there, White Lane, Kingston, which is where the minister's offices are, and the Sea Defense compound at Kingston.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the last question on this particular program here. 6321, subsidies to local organizations. Mr. Chair, to the honorable member, there's been a slight increase in the sums being sought for 2022 as against 2021. So if the honorable member can assist, the sums for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, $384 million. Can you explain the reason for this request? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I came to this House last year and requested subsidies for the GCAA like we did in 2020. And that was largely because of two things. One, when we left office, the GCAA's bank balance was in excess of $1 billion. When we returned to office, we were in deficit. We were in a COVID-19 environment, and GCAA was not reaping the returns as they were accustomed to. We make significant sums by earning for overpass flights, air navigational services that we provide to aircraft that are using our airspace to get to various destinations. Because of COVID and the other restrictions, we lost significant revenue. And then in order to keep our ICAO compliance status, we needed to have a reserve fund of a particular level. So we wanted to ensure that we preserve that reserve fund and we take care of operational expenses. The reduction of what is being given this year is as a result that we anticipate that the overflights will pick up. As a matter of fact, I received a report just yesterday that we have started to see an increase in flight overpass in our territory, and our air navigational services are set to reap some more. So this is basically because of the depleted balance at GCAA and to compensate for the lack of income as a result of COVID. So we're providing the subsidy to keep the entity moving and in full compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, you know, sir, it was the AP and UFC government that made it possible for the compliance level of the GCAA to reduce. We must be able to give credit where credit ought to be given. That being said, Honorable Member, the very line item 6321, I notice you have a 43 million increase for the Transport and Harbors Department. But if my memory serves me accurate, I recall the minister in his budget speech spoke to the issue of a decrease in excise taxes for gasoline. So am I to understand that this full sum, the 543 million plus, is wholly and solely for fuel alone, or is for other activities that the department will be responsible for, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the entire sum is not for fuel. You would recall and realize, Mr. Chair, that most of our stellings are made of timber members, and they have to be maintained. We look forward for the time when we'll be able to have sufficient monies to invest in capital expenditure to provide proper ports that are resilient and long-lasting. But for now, we have to keep the vessels going. We have to keep the fuel subsidy that has been traditional, but we also have to do some maintenance at our stellings as well.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Yes, sir, I wouldn't go delve into response just now about maintenance, transport and harbors and maintenance. Sir, on the 6321, Mr. Chair, there's the Berbice Bridge Company, and there's an allocation there for it. What I note, sir, is the same allocation that was in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I'd ask the honorable member, is this an indication that the vehicular traffic will not increase during 2022 despite the government's claim for massive developments in Region 2, Region 5, and Region 6?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, we need to remind that the Berbice Bridge Company is a private-public partnership that is being run as a business. And that is the way it has been since it was built and established. The previous administration made some actions that are engaging the court. As a matter of fact, the distinguished gentleman, honorable member who asked the question, initiated those legal actions that took possession of the bridge. We at this time are in discussion with the Berbice Bridge Company to establish two things. One, we as a country must find ways and means of sending signals to people that your investment will not be unnecessarily taken over by the state. And secondly, while you invest in Guyana, the interests of the country must also be best served. So as a result of that, we have engaged the Berbice Bridge Company and we are having discussions with them. But while we are discussing to come to resolution to bring us out of the state that we're in as a result of the actions of my predecessor, the status quo of subsidies where tolls are concerned remain as good faith. And I'll be happy at some time to report to this National Assembly the significant developments of how we could get that private-public partnership going interfered with by the state and ensure that the interests of the citizens of Guyana are protected also at the same time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much for the explanation, because that was my question. Can the Honorable Minister state, however, sir, however you would like, if the order signed in November 2018 is still in force, and if it is, does he acknowledge that he has the power to dissolve the order, and why, sir, hasn't he done it for the last 18 months?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, what I hear the honorable member asking is if I realize that I have the power to undo what he did, because he's the one who signed that order. But we are a responsible government. And a responsible government, I just said, we are engaging the bridge. Cabinet is discussing this matter based upon the discussions that we're having with the bridge. The Honorable Attorney General is involved in this matter. And I just said I'll be happy at the appropriate time to come to this National Assembly and tell the people of Guyana what is the future, that the bridge as a public-private partnership could continue and the interests of the people of Guyana could be protected and served. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, in his first response, he indicated or he insinuated that the government, myself and my government, performed an illegal act, which is in...
No, he didn't insinuate that.
Well, sir, okay then.
An order you signed.
The order I signed was illegal. Because they engaged in...
Did he say illegal? Did you say illegal?
They didn't say the word illegal, sir, but if you're in the court.
Never said so.
Okay, sir, but my apologies. May I refrain, sir? Is it the government's opinion, intention to dissolve the order, remove the order because it is not legal? That is the question, sir.
I don't know if I should put that again, because I heard him say he's a responsible government, he's engaging, and at a later date you're willing to update. Am I wrong in my listening, sir?
Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put a question.
Mr. Speaker,
That Honorable Member Ms.
Thank you.
Walton
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to draw our attention to 6322 line item. And before you disallow it, I would ask that you hear me out.
And before I disallow it,
yes,
would you withdraw that comment now, please, or else I shut off your microphone?
Sir, I withdraw it. What I'm going to say is that there is a zero value there. And it was on that basis that I suppose that you, in keeping with the rule, that you said where there's a zero value.
Just put me back again to the heading.
The head is 6322, subsidies and contributions to international organizations. Right, so I want to draw our attention to the subsidies to the International Civil Aviation Organization. I know that there is a value there in 2021 of 11,164, and then another 21,565, but there is none budgeted for 2022. I am curious as to why that is so.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to inform the honorable member that in our reconciliation, which is something that we are keen on doing, because when you spend taxpayers' money, you don't just pay. You ensure that you're receiving service and the amount that needs to be paid is paid, and nothing that is not to be paid is not paid. In our reconciliation, we discovered that we had some savings. And we advanced to IMO and IKO in advance. No payment, however, was made to CASAS for 2021. CASAS is the regional entity. So we are basically up to date, reconciled, and ahead of our game.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
why
you,
we have
Minister.
this.
Honorable Member, Ms. Walton is here.
Just so that I understand the honorable member correctly, because I know that when you divide it, you'll realize that there's two payments there in one. So they have paid in advance for this year. They paid that last year. Is that what the honorable member is saying? And is that what he is saying as well in respect of the International Maritime Organization? Yes or no? Is that what he's saying?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I thought I was very clear that after we did the reconciliation and we discovered we had monies that were appropriated, we've already advanced this year.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members can return to page 646. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. Mr. Chair, project code 12-14-800, government buildings. I note here we have an appropriated sum of some $2 billion plus. Can the honorable member provide a disaggregation, because I notice here in the profile legend in volume 3, sorry, sir, you have retention, payment of retention, provision for living quarters at Caldergin, and construction of office complexes. Can the honorable member, as I asked before, provide a disaggregation of this $2+ billion? What are the retention for? What, where are the living quarters at Caldergin? And also, where are these complexes to be constructed? It would be good if you can give us dimension and whether it will be made out of timber, concrete, right? And who are likely to be the beneficiaries of these buildings? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Retention will be paid for works that were done in various flats at Ichilabar Villas. Retention will be paid for the rehabilitation work that was done at the boardroom and kitchen at Ornapai Towers. Retention will be paid for rehabilitation works at the Divinco building. Retention will be, oh, I can give you the cost. Rehabilitation for the various flats at Ichilabar, 2.5 million. Rehabilitation of boardroom and kitchen at Ornapai Towers, 570,000. Rehabilitation of Divinco building, rehabilitation to government flats 2 and 6 at Main and New Market Street, 386,000. Rehabilitation of flats 3, each of the Bar Villas, Campbellville, Georgetown, 3.5 million. Rehabilitation to washrooms and kitchen At Accounts Department, retention, 245,000. Rehabilitation to offices in the ground and first floor, on the 5 towers, retention, 422,000. Rehabilitation to the construction of the timber weather proofing system to the document center, 276,000. Retention for the upgrade to the parking area, the Ministry of Public Works compound, Port Street, Kingston, 290,000. Retention for the construction of the guard hut and washroom at Camp and Lamahar Street, 148,000. Retention for the construction of guard hut and washroom at Water Street compound, 139,000. One second, please. Mr. Chairman, the ministry, or the government, I should say, is the owner of property at Culloden, which was not utilized. We are improving that facility to be used, and we have budgeted $30 million for that. Construction for a fence and guard hut and the living quarters at Culloden, 15 million. Construction of office complexes, $2.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, what we are seeking to do here, and this is what we spoke about when we talk about the modernization of Guyana. We have government offices, for example, the ministry that I preside over with my colleague, the Honorable Minister Indar. In Kingston, we have several buildings. Transport and Harbors, MARAD, the WSG, and different buildings. The modern Guyana that we're talking about will see us putting all of our offices into a multi-storied office complex. And that will be duplicated several times over around the government service. So what you will see is that we have to do the geotechnical studies, we have to do the designs, we have to get the supervisory services, and ultimately the advance payment for civil work. So this is what this allocation is to facilitate. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. The same line here. Same line here, sir. Construction, and I'm particularly talking on the capital, the construction of the office building. Start off, sir. Where will this office complex be located? I'll ask it in small parts.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the intent, based upon the discussions and what we're talking with the architects and the design people, is that we will utilize plots of land within the vicinity of where the offices are now held, but rather than spreading out, you will go up and free up space for other activities that could take place in that area. So it will be within the vicinity of the present offices.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson, are you asking if there will be parking provided? Go ahead. I was asking. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was anticipation you were going to ask if there was going to be adequate parking.
You're keeping my notes.
I am long-sighted.
Yes, you're keeping my notes, sir. Because I have right here, sir, details of this complex, the square footages, the design, the total number of occupants, the number of parking spaces, offices, and I also would like to ask the honorable member, so you have 2.6 billion in it, sir. If he'd be kind enough to show the Parliament or the world the design, sir, because you have to finish this within this phase 2022. Sir, but the details.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry that I have to disappoint the honorable member. But at this stage, I cannot share with him what he's requesting because it is still a work in progress.
Thank you. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I ask how did the honorable gentleman and his team, he has a whole set of them, come up with the figures of not only 2.6 here, sir, the entire program, if you look at the profile, is $10.5 billion. But we start off with the small pieces. How did the honorable member, on what basis did he come with 2.6, sir? Is it the number of occupants, the square foot, etc., etc., etc.?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you know, it is very interesting with the questions that are being asked because the minister, the honorable member who was once the minister, presided over a ministry where all the technical people that are there, I inherited when I went there. And the honorable member will know that in preparing estimates, and also in preparing a budget, you have to make room for some assumptions. There is what is called price per square foot for construction. For example, if a man is going to build a house now, it's 45 by 35. In 10 minutes, he could know about how much money he needs to source to finance it, because it will be 45 times 35, depending on if you're going to the high end, 12,005 per square feet, or if you're going to the top end, 15,000 per square feet. If you're going to the moderate, about 10,000 per square feet, taking into consideration everything. The honorable member, based upon his background and his profession, knows that. So the Ministry of Public Works, based upon the best estimates and assumptions and considerations, knowing what we're seeking to do, have been able to make certain assumptions and arrive at a particular figure. Every cent that will be spent will be accounted for, and not only accounted for, will have the benefit of a post-audit, of which the honorable member sits as a member of that committee that examined those reports. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
I so love that answer. So can the honorable member tell me what was the square footage cost that you used to come up with this? The minute you and welcome all guys, good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Can the honorable gentleman just set out the basis of it? Can he tell the nation what is the square footage cost that you used to arrive at this office complex?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if the honorable member would like to have a competitive advantage when we go requests for proposals. But at the appropriate time when we go for requests for proposals, the engineers estimate and those matters will be made public like we always do.
Thank you. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Sir, I know you and all are disappointed at answer because you went through all of the about square footage into your high and low, you multiplied. Sir, we have $2.6 billion here. Obviously, the gentleman just threw the cost in there. They have no background, no basis. However, sir, can I move? And but the world is looking, and they know it's all the fluff from bluffing. Has what is the ministry or the government intended to do with the existing buildings that they vacate after this, if this complex is modernized complex is built? Is it the government's intention to sell it off to bidders? Sir.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, Guyana's development is not being left to chance. We're not making it up as we go along like others did. Guyana's development is strategic, purposeful, and it's well thought of. The Demerara River, where most of the property that the Ministry of Public Works currently occupy sits, is a thoroughfare that will be needed, every square inch will be needed, whether it's for hotels, whether it is for development in terms of support to the oil and gas sector, or whether it is for other aspects of our development. Whenever property, land, or buildings are made available, there is a process of which those lands can be acquired by investors or for government use in other areas. And all of that, based upon the principles that have been established historically by the PPPC, will be made known when that becomes the necessary action. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. That's the first truthful answer, I think. The first most forthright answer that you've given out today, that you intend to sell the properties because it has high value.
Mr. Chairman, for the avoidance of doubt, please don't let Mr. Patterson put on the record words that I did not say.
Honorable Minister, you get a chance to respond.
Good. Thank you, sir. So, and I'm going to, Mr. Chair, and I'll ask a direct question to the minister, which I'll ask every time, sir, and I know the answer will be, will this building and office complex be funded from monies from the Natural Resource Fund?
Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Pat.
Of things that you don't want to understand properly. As it relates to funding of the Natural Resources Fund, Mr. Speaker, I have been in this House. This is my third tenure as a parliamentarian. We've had money that was transferred from the Gold Board to the Consolidated Fund. We've had money that was transferred from GGMC to the Consolidated Fund. We've had money that was transferred from the Lottos Fund to the Consolidated Fund. Not once did I ever hear anybody ask, would this GGMC money be funding this? Would the Gold Board money be funding this? It is the Consolidated Funds. When we come to this National Assembly, sir, we could only
No. Earlier in your explanation, you provided a breakdown that $15 million has been appropriated for works to be done at colleges. My question to you, what would be the use after construction of the facility?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I said two things about colleges. We're going to spend about $30 million on the buildings in the compound. And we're going to spend just over 15 million. You know, it's quite an expansive compound, to fence it properly and put in the guard hut with facilities. The purpose of the work that is being done are going to be twofold. One, we're going to be accommodating some of our engineers and staff who are transferred from various places that have to live, like we have done at Paradise and at Pleasance and other flats. And secondly, we are still, and this is not definitive, because of the expanse of the land that is there, the possible looking at moving our workshop where we do the repairs and servicing of our heavy duty equipment and trucks and all the rest of it, as against allowing it to occupy prime property in the city. So it will be used for the advancement of the work of the Ministry of Public Works and for use by the staff, engineers, and other high technical people who are required to be in the center for living, even if they come from the regions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, Capital Expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, can we turn our attention to pages 242 and 242 and 243. Honorable members, I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 312, Public Works, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, through you to the honorable member, may I turn your attention to line item 6242, maintenance of buildings. I note that from a revised sum of 2021, we're up 10 million more than 2021. Can the honorable member explain the reason for the increases? That's one. And provide us, perhaps you can assist by laying over to us, the buildings that are expected to be maintained for the year 2022. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the 6242, the proposal, emergency upgrades to meter circuit for additional load for government flats, 540,836. Emergency works, replacement of 400 amp main breaker and cabinet, $460,500. Connection of GPL transformer to document center, which is a building that the honorable member is aware of, $90,200. Replacement of ATS and installation of sub-main switch, $3.5 million. Supply and installation of batteries and inverters for IT server room, 126,696. Supply and installation of batteries and inverter for GEI building, 126,696. Field material and equipment, 7,952,000. Supply and installation of battery banks, security huts, entrance and exit, backup for gates, 1.446 million. Installation of solar PV systems, backup for gates, 1.325 million. To install solar PV standalone lights and repairs to generator room, 790,000. Electrical upgrades to main circuit, security huts, entrance and exit, 796,000. Repairs to electrical equipment, 1.970 million. Rehabilitation of work services group building, 2.3 million. Minor repairs and replacement of windows to buildings division, 4th Street, Kingston, 78,000. Minor repairs and painting of special projects unit building, 213,000. Minor repairs and painting of flats 4 and 6 West Main and New Market Street, 240,000. Repairs and painting to Morris House building, 4th Street, Kingston, 256,000. Minor repairs and painting to lot 14 Pleasance, East Coast Demerara, 318,150. Minor repairs and painting to C Defense Living Quarters, 63 Beach, Berbice, 465,000. Minor repairs to Service Division, Task Force Building, 4th Street, Kingston, 71,000. Repairs to staircase at Government Building, 88 Carmichael Street, 1.4 million. Repairs and painting to Flat 3 West Main and New Market Street, 1,097,000. Repairs and painting to Government Buildings, Better Hope, East Coast Demerara, 272,000. Repairs to main internal hallway staircase and painting of the exterior of Government Buildings at Main and New Market Street, 1.5 million. Repairs to Police Complaints Authority, Brickdam, Georgetown, 862,000. Rehabilitation of 105 New Garden Street, sorry, there's a zero for that. Emergency works to Flat 5, West Main and New Market Streets, 262,137. Emergency works to Lot 12, Ichilabar Villas, renovations to roof and ceiling, 234,000. Repairs and painting of Flat 5, East Main and New Market Street, Georgetown, 1,168,000. Mr. Chairman, some of these buildings at New Market and Main Street, we're now getting possession of them since we're in government. Some of the officers who were there, who have been no longer in government employees, now giving them up, and we're now fixing some of these buildings. Repairs to government flats, 4 Eastern Main Street, 5.2 million. Repairs to kitchen and hallway at Laboratory Ministry of Public Works, 1.7 million. Repairs to government building Pleasance, 6.5 million. Repairs to Ichilabar Villas Flat 10, 4.2 million. Repairs to residents at Paradise, 11.8 million. Minor repairs and painting to Eastern Building, Main and New Market Street, 3.5. Minor repairs and painting to Electrical Inspectorate Building, 1.5. Repairs to washroom at Ichilabar Flats, 870,000. Repairs to offices and cleaning of carpets at Ornapai Towers, 2.8 million. Emergency repairs to bathroom, 88 Carmichael Street, Georgetown, 650,000. Emergency works to buildings division, manager's office, 717,000. Fire extinguisher, Ornapai Towers and Morris House, 677,000. Purchase of building materials, 8.7 million. Painting, Ministry of Public Works, materials laboratory floor, 807,000. Emergency repairs of stairway at Morris House, 1.3. Emergency works at Flat 14 Pleasance, 992. Supply and installation of PVC vertical blinds, 980,000. Replacement of carpets at the Government Electrical Inspectorate, 995. Repairs to Ornapai Towers ground floor, 2.4 million. Emergency repairs to Northern Wall at Marad, 7 million. A total of 99,077,000.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, through you to the honorable member, did you give a cumulative sum of 99 million and 77? The budgeted sum is $110 million.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I omitted to mention there is a repairs and my forgiveness there to the district office at the Namstel, and that total is 12 million.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, to the honorable member. Thank you for providing, a detailed list of what the $110 million will do. But can the honorable member say to this house and to, the small contractors who are listening in, whether these projects these proposed projects will be advertised publicly, so, you get a wider spread of contractors, bidding for these works?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe one community that is quite happy in Guyana with the PPPC are contractors, because they feel they have a fair chance now with the PPPC. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, if I had anticipated this question, I would have brought a report of how many new entrants, how many old contractors, and we will be able to show that the work is not just going to one special group, but people have a fair chance. And I want to use this committee of supply today, sir, to again indicate to all Guyanese contractors, small, medium, and large scale, ensure that you pre-qualify, submit your bona fides, and we will always follow the Procurement Act to ensure that we get value for money and the most qualified and the best suited person gets the job. Contractors are happy with the People's Progressive Party civic government. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, can I turn the honorable members' attention to line item 6251, maintenance of roads. I have noticed a 100% increase from 2021 to 2022. Can the honorable member, in the interest of time, I would request that the honorable member lay over to the National Assembly the list of the proposed roads to be maintained. And while I'm on my feet, can the honorable member say to the people in Meadowbrook area whether that hole in the street, for a longest while, Bishop, it has been there over months, whether in the 2022 budget you have provisions to rectify that hole. I think it's Meadowbrook Gardens area, if my memory serves me accurate.
Honorable.
Have a responsibility for other roads. Secondly, honorable member Ms. Ferguson, the budgetary allocation is not doubled. I know that we have challenges. I know we have challenges with maths, but it's an increase of 600 million. It's not double. It's 1.9 billion last year. It's 2.5 billion this year. An increase of 600 million. So it's not double. Mr. Chair, I would want to indicate that while it is not primarily the first responsibility of the Ministry of Public Works to maintain these roads, the Ministry of Public Works have been taking the cry and concerns of citizens seriously. And we have been making the necessary interventions. But we need to consistently remind the billions of dollars that City Hall collects, they have a responsibility to maintain roads in the city, of which they've been doing zero. When the Hawk Street Bridge collapsed, sir, it was...
Thank you for fixing that for
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Street Bureau.
I give notice to the Mayor and City Council that the bridge is broken, and I anticipated at least the Mayor Town Council will say, well, we have this and we could do this. We had to do it all by ourselves. When the bridge that leads to Congress Place at the Eastern Highway collapsed, sir, it was the Ministry of Public Works that had to come in and fix that bridge. When the bridge at Dennis Street collapsed, sir, we had to do it. And you would have seen over the period of October, November, and December, several crews from the Ministry of Public Works Maintenance Department were maintaining sections of road and upgrading sections of road across the city. But this allocation is not just for Georgetown. Right now, sir, we have to maintain all of the main access roads. And the fact that we are building more access roads, we have to allocate more money for the maintenance. And the maintenance of roads, sir, may I take this opportunity to explain. It's not just fixing potholes, but it is also preventing potholes. And one of the ways we prevent potholes, we have to keep the road shoulders clear. The ministry have had to be using valuable time, equipment, and resources to remove sand from the edges of road. People doing construction, they dump sand and they don't move it, and the road is flooding, and we know once the road is flooding, it's deteriorating the road. People dig their drains and put the debris on the sidewalk. We have to maintain those roads. Every month, we have to weed and clean the road shoulders across the entire country. So this sum is not just about patching potholes, it is about maintaining our main access roads throughout the length and breadth of the country. And may I take this opportunity, sir, to thank the men and women of the Special Projects Unit of the Ministry of Public Works, because they work Sunday to Sunday and oftentimes even at night, because we don't want to interrupt the flow of traffic. When we were doing the Grove Public Road, all of us who pass through Grove know how congested that area is. And to find an appropriate time during the day to fix it, the men had to get out there in the curfew hours. When we did it from the Stabrook Market, the same thing. So, sir, our men and women at the Ministry of Public Works Special Projects Unit needs to be commended by this National Assembly for the good job that they are doing. I'm saying it's not sufficient, because like the whole of the Honorable Minister is member, Ms. Ferguson is raising at Meadowbrook. I'm sure that she has my number. If you send me it and the description, I can have my people look at it and we will see what we can do. Every day, myself and my colleague, Minister Indar, we get WhatsApp messages, we get videos, we get phone calls, we get letters from NBCs and residents signing several petitions to fix various roads. We just got to keep doing it. And ultimately, we will look to ensure that we have quality roads where the maintenance would be reduced, because we will have adequate drainage accompanying these roads. Because people would call and say, put in a crusher run. But the Ministry of Public Works is not about putting crusher run. In the next rainfall, all the crusher run is gone. If we're going to do something, we do it properly. You would have seen what we would have done on the Rupert Craig Highway. We had to mill the road and then relay it. And you will see when it comes to our capital budget, one of the things that we're seeking to buy is a milling machine, because we have to rent that, because we don't own that from the private sector. And we rent that at $12 US per square meter. $12 per square meter. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and I do commend you for the works of that particular unit, work services, and again, thanks for the Hawk Street, Boys Town Bridge. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think, we can.
Honorable members on both sides, I'm trying to hear the Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
We can minimize a bit.
I agree with you.
On the political grandstanding. But while the Honorable Member has commended the work services, the SPU staff, Honorable Member, are you aware that those staff, they did not receive the 7%? You know? Honorable, through you, Mr. Chair, can I turn the Honorable Member attention to line item 6254, maintenance of city fences. I note we have a 310 million increase between 2021 and 2022. Perhaps you can assist us, to save time by providing us with the information as it relates to the regions that will be benefiting from maintenance where their city fences are concerned. Thank you very much, sir.
Minister, I think you should check into that observation with respect to the 7%.
Mr. Chairman, I could answer that in the House, on the floor. I could answer that on the floor right here and right now. The honorable member is creating something that they know differently. The men and the women of the Special Projects Unit are not permanent staff of the Ministry of Public Works. They are paid hourly rates. They are paid hourly rates. When they work overtime, they are paid hourly rates. When it was once in the lifetime when we were heading to an election, when you wanted votes, you give them an increase like regular public servants to secure your votes. Once in your lifetime. Once in 2019.
Not correct.
Once in 2019.
Not correct.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, what I can tell you, I authorized from the savings that we had in December a 2 weeks payout to all the men and women from the Special Projects Unit. While they did not get a retroactive 7%, and the fact that the minimum wage has gone up, the hourly rates automatically are revised. So I don't understand why we are trying to sell pessimism as if we're shortchanging those men and women. Because oftentimes people will hear these things and it would try to slow down what is happening because they're doing a good job. Somebody saying, well, you're not getting compensated. But these are people who are paid hourly rate, and there are rules of engagement where that is concerned. As it relates to the city fences, sir, here again, when we came to office, sir, one of the areas of this ministry that was really in crisis had to do with city fences. And it's not that we changed the staff. All the people who are managing this sector are the same people who were there before we arrived. But what we are doing better is monitoring. We're not waiting for something to collapse and then rush to fix. So the head of this agency knows where it's use of drone technology because they bought the drones. But we've also said boots on the ground. There must be men who walk. There must be men who walk these stretches, and they must be able to see where there are potential areas of deterioration. And I would like to thank the rangers, men all across this country, because it's not just sea, but sea and river defenses. We've had overtopping, we've had the spring tides, Our quick reaction groups have moved in, get the necessary sandbags, prevent damage to people's property, fix anything that was going, and we anticipate with the capital investments that we are making, we will have a reduction of some of these threats, but we also have to bear in mind the reality of climate change, weather patterns, and how vulnerable we are both on the coastline and in our rivers, and we are preparing to ensure we deal with any eventuality as that comes along, but we are being proactive as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members,
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Member Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Current Chair. Minister, 2625, maintenance of bridges. Could you indicate in the maintenance of the respective bridges across the region, if the Wisma-Mackenzie Bridge, the Blueberry Hill Bridge, and the Wisma Hill Scheme Bridge is a part of this allocation for maintenance?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I'm very disappointed that I have to answer this question, but I will. The honorable member who just asked this question is the elected geographical member for Region 10. And the honorable member should know that the Wisma Bridge does not fall under the Ministry of Public Works. It is a bridge that is handled by the main city council of Linden in conjunction with NISIL. It's a toll bridge where they collect revenue, and a percentage of the revenue from that bridge is supposed to go for the maintenance. Some is supposed to be put into the community for social services. And this is the elected representative of Region 10 that is asking me, because the main town council of Linden is not doing their work, if the Ministry of Public Works will do that when this is a toll bridge. Mr. Chairman, I go to Linden very often, representing the PVPC. And every time I cross the bridge, even though I'm a minister, I stop and pay. I don't sign the book. I stop and pay. And I stop and pay for a particular reason. There are times when you don't even get a receipt. They collect the money, and there are times when they don't even give a receipt. That is not a bridge that falls under the Ministry of Public Works. But I must tell you, the fact that we are developing the corridor, and you could go and tell the people of Linden, but they will hear me from now, because I'm telling them now, I'm speaking to Linden. The fact that we are developing the corridor all the way from Quarantine, connecting with the Deepwater Harbor, the Bobbies River mouth, we're coming all the way to Georgetown, we're upgrading the Linden-Soosdike Highway, we're building the road to Mabura, we're getting the bridges from Mabura all the way to Lethem. We know that that bridge that links Mackenzie and Linden will have to be expanded and developed. There are studies that have already been done, and at the appropriate time, the capital investment will be made to get that fixed. But right now, the capital investment is being made for the more important bridge, which is the new Demerara River crossing. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa.
Do I have the floor, Honorable Chair?
Yes, I gave you the floor.
Thank you. With all of the rhetoric the minister just mentioned, can you state if the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, with respect to all of the studies that would have been done with regards to the Wisma-Mackenzie Bridge, if that project will be executed? The study was already being done and has been approved. Would the Ministry of Public Infrastructure be constructing that bridge in 2022?
Minister.
Mr. Chairman, we're dealing here with maintenance. The honorable member is addressing capital. We are dealing here with maintenance. He's asking me about the capital investment. But I could answer the question right now. As the Minister of Public Works, when I came to office, the handover study by the consultants, I received that with the team from the ministry, And that is on the burner, and I just said at the appropriate time. Because when you do development, you can't do everything at the same time. You got a priority one, priority two. Right now, the traffic across that bridge cannot be compared with the traffic that is taking place at the Demerara Harbor Bridge. So if you're going to put your investment in a capital project, you have to deal with answers the need for the masses, hundreds of thousands of people daily. The Mackenzie Bridge will be addressed by the PPPC at the appropriate time.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 312, Public Works, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, turn to page 646 and 647. I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 312, Public Works, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 1101-200, the new Demerara Bridge. Can the Honorable Minister state, here we start our first question, could the Honorable Minister state what the status of the contract award for this project? The procurement status, for the record.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the procurement stage is that it was publicly announced, having gone through a public tendering process, which attracted international companies from around the world, and we did not receive an unsolicited bid. It was evaluated, and Cabinet offered its no objection to the lowest responsive bidder and authorized negotiations for the completion of the contract. As of today, the negotiating team, which I will not name, but I can tell you their qualifications. It includes a lawyer, engineers, finance specialists, and management consultants. Have been engaging with the #1 ranked bidder, and we have since, the negotiators have since informed the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board that they wish to terminate the negotiation process because the term sheets and the cost of financing would not serve the best interest of the people of Guyana. And currently, we are negotiating with the second-ranked responsive bidder. Because negotiations are ongoing, disclosures on this matter would be very, very concerned. And I will be very restricted in what I say, but I can tell you the negotiations are ongoing, and the next meeting will be tomorrow morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, so I would like just to confirm the Minister, Honorable Minister, to confirm that the public procurement that he mentioned was for a finance bill and transfer contract. Just so you can confirm that, so you don't say I mislead this house.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would have to say is that we're not following. This was a public notice where we went out for 2 proposals. Every bidder was allowed to offer 2 proposals. If you were following, you would have known. Design, build, finance, operate, and maintain, one option, or a design, build, finance option. Every bidder, Europe, South America, North America, Asia, had an opportunity to put in 2 proposals which were evaluated. Some put in both, some put in one. It was a design, build, finance, operate, maintain, or a design, build, finance.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much. That was the exact response that I was looking for, because in all 2 options, they had finance. Design, build, finance, operate, if I was listening. So can the Honorable Minister tell the nation if finance was involved in all 2 bids? You know, I mean, the second one bid, you can, is public record. China Road and Bridge Company, they're $340 million. That is, yes, Usu. Yes. So can the Honorable Minister tell the country, if he went to bids for design, build, operate, or design, build, whatever variation, what is the money included under this line item for, which is in this $21 million, sir, because of course he went out to get financing in the bids. Can he enlighten the House?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, asked me to inform the people of Guyana. I will. I'll inform them of the following. Number 1, this PPPC administration, led by President Irfan Ali, is committed to building a new Demerara River crossing to ensure that the people of Guyana benefit from such. Secondly, the bridge will be a 4-lane, high-span bridge, which will allow for 53 meters above the level of the water to allow for Handymax vessels to pass. It will require no opening for marine traffic. So it will be a 24-hour traffic for boats and 24-hour traffic for vehicles. The proposals and the question that the Honorable Minister is asking of why we have 21 billion and we asked for a finance project. Mr. Chairman, I am sure that you, as a man who have been very wise in the things of the world, know that even if somebody is bringing financing, there is a contribution and a proportion that the client will have to provide to ensure guarantees, and also we have to look at the fact that you're building this bridge, and if somebody brings total financing and they have to recoup their financing, the price of tolls will go out of whack. The government of Guyana, and I don't want to speak too much because of the negotiations that are currently being undertaken, has provided this sum to ensure that all of the necessary things that needs to be done when we engage the preferred bidder, our contribution to get that project kick-started, and it could be built within 2 years. We don't have to come back next year to ask for the money to do this and to do that. We are getting that done now. And this $21 billion that the honorable member is asking about, I want to assure him and all the people of Guyana, is to ensure at all costs, 1, we get this bridge. Number 2, we get it at the best price. And number 3, that the interest of Guyana is served when we finalize a contract with whoever will be doing the construction of this bridge. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, the Honorable Minister invoked your assistance because he said that you are a financial wizard and you did not. When he said to you, I saw you nodding, so I will assume that you
I
have
was
some.
nodding to tell him to continue, not to acknowledge that he is giving me expertise I may not have.
Oh, sir, well, I'm seeking the help, sir, but if I'm seeking your help, maybe the House help, that the Honorable Minister said that the $53 billion, $265 million in the budget is the government's contribution to the project. Am I to assume, or the country in the world to assume, is that the China Railroad Bridge, whose bid is $340 million, that is their contribution, and the government are now contributing in an additional $265 million, which brings it up to over $600 million for the bridge record. That was the explanation given to this House. They went out for financing bid, and they received from one who they discarded, they've gone to the second one who was 340. I asked what was the money for. He said it's the government's contribution towards the bridge. The contractor, don't forget the nationality, are financing their section of the bridge. So the bridge, as I can see it here, sir, if you add the two together, would be $605 million US. Is that correct, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to use the Committee of Supply to discuss financing options and financial models and equity and all the rest. I don't want to use the Committee of Supply to do that. The gentleman who's asking this question was the Minister of Public Infrastructure that planned to build a bridge and don't understand these mundane issues that we're discussing. So I will rest my case, and I can promise you, Mr. Chairman, and the people of Guyana, the moment that the negotiations are completed and we have an agreement, all of the terms and conditions will be made public, and the people of Guyana will be able to watch every day for the next 2 years while the bridge will be under construction and says we needed this 20 years ago. Thank God we're getting it now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. And I hope the people of Guyana have noticed that the minister did not dispute my summation of the final sum. Never mind, sir. Can I ask the Honorable Minister how much of this sum, which is the government's contribution to the bridge, including over and above the financing, is allocated for land acquisition? How many properties, sir, because it's public knowledge, and I said he took the mayor, not the mayor, the regional chairman to the location, and they said they thought they'd be acquiring. How much of this is allocated for land acquisition, and how many properties will be acquired, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the first thing I want to say, I don't agree with the honorable member that this bridge will cost $600 million. The reason why we have gone to the second bidder, because the first bidder, their bid price was $256 million. And in the negotiations for terms and the term sheet, we're not driving the cost up, we're driving the cost down. So that's the first thing I want to put on the record. So this $600 million, I don't know where he got that from. That is some kind of mathematics that doesn't belong in this National Assembly. The second thing, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, parliamentary language. I may have to send you, like I did Mr. Mahipal, the sheet again. Honorable Minister, continue, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, in the development of any major project, every major project, there are people who could be displaced as a result of that development. I want to assure this honorable House that using the law and fulfilling the constitutional provisions, that if we have to acquire or compulsory acquire property, it will be in keeping with what the Constitution says and at market values. We will not be denying anybody of their property. We will fulfill the Constitution. But I will not this afternoon stipulate how much of this 21 million is going towards acquisition of property, because there are those who would like to use that number to start speculating and using the opportunity to get a windfall. We are advancing this process, and sufficient sums have been allocated to ensure all of the necessary things that needs to be done, including if we have to compulsory acquire property at fair market price. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I remind the Honorable Gentleman, by convention, that compulsory acquisition of land and those things like that it is a statutory process. The figures, the determination of costs and those things like that are not done based on what he says in this house. It's done by independent agencies, evaluation division. So, can I ask the minister once again, sir, has he allocated any money? That's all I'm asking. Has he allocated any money in this here for the acquisition of lands?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I thought the honorable gentleman was listening and understood. I said, from this sum, monies are available. Should there be a need for 1, 15, 12, 9, 3, whatever are the properties to be acquired, I'm not naming a number right now. Monies are available to ensure that any encumbrance that has to be removed, that those persons will be adequately compensated at fair market price, facilitated elsewhere, so that we will have a free thoroughfare for the building of this bridge and bring it in 2 years' time. We're not going to be caught up in court battles and wranglings and those who would like to stop a major project from taking place. You could imagine, Mr. Chairman, we went to the area, walked the entire alignment. His Excellency himself did it. Walked the entire alignment. We looked at everything, consulted with the people, and one person who is affiliated with the political opposition, because of a statutory position that he holds, was trying to tell the people who live in the area through their NDC that they should not give approval. So you've already seen the writing on the wall. That is why I'm very restrictive of what I say. There are those who don't want this to happen, and they want to use all of the various things to block it. But we are determined, and I have said, we will give to the people of Guyana the new Demerara River Bridge crossing. The people are happy. The people who may be affected are happy. They're talking with us. We know what we got to do in law. Nobody don't need to lecture us on compulsory acquisition. The APNU AFC acquired the property of a member of the PNC, and she did not know that it was being acquired. She was an ambassador representing Guyana in Canada, and she did not know that they were acquiring the property. And now you want to come here and lecture us about acquiring property? And you should ask the honorable member who signed the compulsory acquisition order.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson, you had a question?
Yes, same question.
Okay, Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, to the honorable member. The very line item that is very, high in contention. May I turn the honorable member attention to profile 125 of volume 3. And this is what the budget detail is saying here, or the benefits. No, the description of the project, sorry. provision for new Demerara Harbor Bridge, and also consultancy provision for consultancy. The honorable member, my honorable colleague, asked about the land acquisition, but there is no provision for it in budget 2022. So to you, honorable member, can you say to this honorable house, from the 21 billion, what percentage or amount will go to the provision for consultancy service, and also what percentage and amount will go to the, the building of this new Demerara Harbor Bridge? And now you best listen.
Honorable Minister.
This is taxpayers' money.
Mr. Chairman, the first thing is project profile 125, but you said 125. You're asking a question on 125. Does not address the new Demerara Harbor Bridge. It is project 126 that addresses the new Demerara Harbor Bridge. Mr. Chairman, at this current time, the world is notified that we are looking for consultancy services to supervise the construction of this bridge. And the world is notified by way of publications throughout the world, in our local newspapers and other international places. The consultants will come in with a bid price. They will be evaluated, and the best, with value for money, in keeping with our procurement laws, will be awarded the supervisory contract. Provision for the Demerara Harbor Bridge in this profile did not give 5 million for this, or 3 billion for that, or 20 billion for that. And there's a specific reason for that, Mr. Chair. And that is what I'm asking this honorable house to understand and appreciate. We are not going to provide information at this time for speculators and people who use the advantage of information for their own benefit. I am emphatically saying, from this 21 billion, monies to pay a supervisor, monies if we have to acquire land or property, our contribution, depending on what the negotiation and the term sheet throws up, in the final thing, are provided for in here. And that is what I will say as a final explanation on this matter at this time. But I would want to be assured that the honorable members who are asking the question, that they can give to the people of Guyana their unequivocal support, that they're supporting the government of Guyana for the building of a new Demerara River Bridge to benefit all of us in this assembly and all the people of Guyana, and that they will not stand in the way or use whimsical or other mechanisms to thwart or delay the building of the bridge, because this is a necessity. And the monies allocated here is to ensure that we get on with the project. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson. Honorable Member,
Mr. Chair, I'll yield to my colleague.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Same line head, sir. I've moved off to this, sir, and I don't think it's right to move off of this without asking the honorable member. The budget has $53.7 billion. $53.7 billion. Does not the honorable member, the government, the Ministry of Public Works, think it would be more prudent if we are putting in 53 to 270 million US dollars from our coffers? I know what they're going to say. Isn't it a more prudent procurement method than we go out for bids, because we are funding this project, so that it will allow a lot more? So one of the reasons why the Americans and the Europeans and those things did not did not tender was because they cannot compete with the Chinese firm for the cost of financing if they want to finance. But now that we are financing, doesn't it think it's a better procurement for the country and that you go out for a traditional procurement system whereby, since we are putting up the money or the majority of the money for this bridge. And I'd like the Honorable Minister to say and respond for the records.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would not like to join the honorable member in his commentary. He has already formed certain assumptions that no amount of information will help him at this time, and I've already committed to this House and the people of Guyana, when the negotiations that we are in are completed, full disclosure will be made on the terms of financing, what is coming from the contractor or what the government of Guyana is putting up. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To the honorable member, the very line item. I note here we have a total figure 53+ billion, of which we anticipate spending some $21 billion. Can the honorable member state for the National Assembly and the people of Guyana whether the $53 billion will be funded through the Natural Resource Fund?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully decline to repeat myself.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, sir. Moving on. 12-14-900. Infrastructure development, sir. The project profile has provision for urban renewal projects and programs, and we have a sum of $3.69 billion. Can the Honorable Minister, on that specific item only, shed some light on that specific expenditure, urban renewal projects and programs?
Honorable Minister.
Sir, the total sum that is being sought is $3.697 billion. Some of the money have to do with payment of retention for the construction of the tarmac and parking lot at Diamond, $3.4 million. The construction of the pedestrian sidewalk at Port Drawing, $1.2 million. Construction of the access road into Diamond Housing Scheme Phase 1, $7.5 million. Construction of the Paradise and Animal Shelter, $685,000. Geometric improvement to sections of the St. John Road, KB Singh Road, Kitty Roundabout, Lamahar Street, 1,200 meters, $1,068,000. Construction of pedestrian sidewalk, and Regina Market to the police station, $859,000. Installation of LED lights on the St. John Road, the retention is $497,000. The new projects, urban renewal project and programs, $3.345 billion. And I guess this is what the honorable member is inquiring into. It is no secret that this administration is on a campaign to elevate Guyana. I use the word elevate because we're not just building, but we're doing beautiful things as well. Guyana must look beautiful. It must not just be we build buildings. So our architecture, our appearance, the aesthetics of the country must look different. And it's not just Georgetown, but in all of our urban centers, and then we must be able to translate that into other areas. The constant areas about people being flooded and Then you have one person who build up their bridge, and the next one build their parapet, and the next one is down on uneven, the disabled can pass. All of these things have to be addressed. So we are on a program of improving safety for people. We are in a program of beautifying the country, and we are in the program of ensuring the livelihoods of people are uplifted. So there are a number of initiatives that are being undertaken, and some of them will be announced soon. I don't want to steal the thunder at this stage to announce them, but at the appropriate time, there will be an announcement. But every cent of this money on these projects will be for the benefit of the people of Guyana. And one of the things that we have to do, Mr. Chairman, many years ago, in another life, I went to Bogota, and on the Sunday when I was leaving to go to church, I discovered that where my hotel was, I couldn't get a car in, because every Sunday they would lock down that particular thoroughfare so that the people who live in that area in the high rises could come out, get some fresh air, the people in the wheelchair could get out, the kids could play with the bicycles, because they did not have sufficient well-kept open spaces. In Guyana, mental health is becoming a big issue. And we have seen manifestations of that even here sometimes in the National Assembly. And we have to ensure people have a chance to recreate. People must be able to spend quality family time. People must be able to exhale in spaces. Everybody cannot go to the seawall. I look forward for the people of South Georgetown to be able to have a space there. I look forward for the people in All Boys Town and Puntrench Dam, and those who live in the Penitence must be able to have a space there. I look forward for that kind of enhancement and development. And Mr. Chairman, there are several projects and programs that are going to be rolled out that will be taken care of under that budget. We are continuing with the next phase of the construction of tarmac for the market and parking lot at Diamond, and there'll be a $55 million allocation for that. The construction of the pedestrian sidewalk on the West Bank Demerara at Phoenix Park, the Plantain Walk, we're going to spend about $39 million in that. We're going to continue some work at Charity for $58 million. Construction of access road into Diamond Housing Scheme, $77 million. Construction of pedestrian sidewalk along the University of Guyana Access Road. You know, we're building that access road right now, but because it's a main thoroughfare into Cummins Lodge, Cummins Park, Sophia, everywhere we build a road, Mr. Chairman, the first thing people tell us, you got to put speed bump. The amount of speed. Last night we had a terrible accident, which I regretted ever happened on Mandela. The sidewalks for our young people, our seniors, and pedestrians are becoming more and more important, and we're going to put one in there. Geometric improvement to sections of the St. John Road and JB Singh, we are continuing. We have done phase 1 last year, and we put up the lights right through. An honorable member said the light pole fell down and did not disclose that a car hit the light pole. But we are continuing that sidewalk all the way down to Lemahar Street. So these are some of the things that will be financed on the, this line item, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, the Committee of Supply is where the ministers and where the opposition and the members of the public come to seek answers to monies that have been appropriated, that have been requested and appropriated. The minister has gotten up and said out there $3.345 billion in the budget. He has not, meaning says out that he doesn't want to disclose it, but he's asking us to vote for it. He doesn't want to burst anybody's bubble. Sir, I don't know if you think that's appropriate for the public or for the country, for this parliament. We should ask for $3.4 billion and don't even have a clue. Sir, or is it the minister doesn't know what he's doing? I ask again, sir, on behalf of the people again, what is it you'll be doing with $3.4 billion in the year 2022 under the program renewal projects and urban renewal projects and program? If you have any idea, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the lowest form of wisdom is sarcasm, and Mr. Patterson specializes in that. Because I'm not going to be practicing the lowest form of wisdom of being sarcastic. You don't have that. If you had wisdom, you would not have asked the question that you just asked, because I answered it already. I have just said there'll be several projects that will be involved in the improvement of the urban centers across the country. If you would like to have a list so that you could mobilize to block them, you will not get it in this parliament. So I will tell you that right now. If you'd like to get a list, so you could run into our boys' tongue and say the people, they plan to do this, but you have to take over this land. You will not be able to do that. You will not be able to do that. But we will be working with the communities all across Georgetown. Yes, they're listening. South Georgetown is listening to me. Alboystown is listening to me. Bartica is listening. Linden is listening. New Amsterdam is listening. We are going to be working with all of them for the improvement of life and livelihoods. And some of this will be hard infrastructure, and some of this will be community projects for the improvement of the aesthetics in their communities. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, it's obvious that the honorable member have no clue why the money is there. So can I ask, and sir, on behalf of the people from Alboystown, right, they're not obstructionists, right? And Bartek, they're not obstructionists. They are citizens of this country. I don't mind, sir. I don't mind, me personally, don't mind being an obstructionist. It's better than being, sir, I'm asking, sir, if he does not know, if he does not want to, if the honorable minister has no idea of what he's doing with this money, can I ask, sir, how did he arrive, or how did the ministry arrive? Because I can't say him, sir. The whole project is 11.864 billion of dollars, sir. So can I ask the minister that, I mean, he's obviously clueless about the 3.6. Can I ask him about the larger program, 11.865, for the total project cost? What does that encompass, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, when someone is set in their own ways, it's difficult to change them. I've just gone through the list to say all what we're going to be doing. Geometric improvement of the Sinton Road, this happening there, and give actual amounts. And then I give a block amount for the urban renewal projects and programs, and I give you the total. The gentleman, distinguished honorable member, is asking me the same thing. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, let me say this. I understand why the honorable member is asking such questions. Because he presided over a project, the Durban Park, that he never told the people of Guyana that he was taking taxpayers' money to spend on. And took money from the consolidated fund and give it to a private company. So he's concerned about what is happening. So I understand his fears. I am guided by a principle, sir, that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So when you see people saying certain things, they are saying, this is what I would have done. This is what I would have done if I had a chance. But Mr. Chairman, I am making the point very clear. We on this side of the House will engage across this country in a consultative process. Community groups, people in the various centers, just like we have done, getting the private sector, men and women in uniform, citizens groups, political operatives and other stakeholders. And what we did in Georgetown in 2 days, the city council didn't do in 7 years. We have literally taken back spaces. Go to Jury Park, Jury Lane. I'm probably naming it too early, Jury Park. Should we leave Jury Park as a dump site next to a main highway that is being built? The answer is a resounding no. Jury Park must be developed into a safe space where the people from Newtown, the people from Camberville, the people from Sophia could come out and recreate in a safe environment. That kind of a development is what Mr. Patterson cannot understand that will take place. We will not be building shrines that nobody can use because Woodans and vagrants are living there. We are going to engage with communities to ensure that Guyana looks different. The people in their neighborhood feel different, and people start taking pride about themselves. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, we started a cleanup in Georgetown and across the country. Everywhere people are planting trees, cleaning up the place, fixing their front yards, taking pride in their environment. This is what we want, a national movement. Mr. Chairman, in our One Guyana approach, part of what we do must bring people together to do things together, but we must also provide spaces where people could come from their enclaves and meet, engage, interact, socialize, build relationships, bring families together. We want a Guyana that we're all proud of, and we will be doing that through this allocation with the urban renewal projects and programs that we'll be doing, sir. Thank you very much.
Great Honorable Minister, the Honorable Minister Rodriguez, and yours truly would be happy if some of that could come to Independence Boulevard.
We have that in mind, sir.
Thank you.
Time to go.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This afternoon, we just railroaded a lot of political rhetoric. We're here to do the people's business. But
Honorable Member, you're adding to that?
I'm not adding to it, sir.
Okay, ask the question.
I'm making a comment.
Yes. It's
So the
question
time wasting we can be looking at.
Oh, we haven't wasted any time. We're saving time, actually.
Okay.
We are into the 98 minutes we saved from the previous heads.
Okay, Mr. Chair, through you to the honorable member. Project codes 14-06400 and 14-06500. And if we go to profile numbers 141 and 142 respectively, I notice it's monies. The projects will be funded by China and IDB. But what I recognize, honorable member, the IDB funding caters for, which is identified on the project code 141. It says here, construction of highway from Diamond to Mary. Then you have provision for studies. And if you look at profile number 142, and this is the project description, it reads here, the project entails provision for construction of 4-lane highway, Eccles to Mary. The concern I have here, it seems to me that perhaps you can explain to the House whether it's the one project in the same area being funded by two different funders. So can you explain to us what is happening here, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I'll be sure to help the honorable member and to let the people of Guyana know what is happening. Just like we did on the East Coast, where we built the 4 lanes, and then we did work on the railway embankment, and we'll continue to do work on the railway embankment so you could get 6 lanes. We're doing the bridges on the railway embankment, enhance 6 lanes. There are 2 projects, 2 distinct projects, 2 different projects. We are building a road that will connect the Ogle International Airport with the Tamari International Airport. That's one project. Second project, we have the 4-lane all the way up to Diamond. We now have to upgrade that road, expand it, get it all the way out. So you could have at any given time 6 lanes plus the 4-lane that is being built through the Ministry of Housing to give greater access. The road network of Guyana, sir, with the building of the new Demerara River Bridge, we have to put in a lot of connector roads. We have to be able to reroute people to reduce travel time. The trucks that we are seeing on the East Bank, if they're heading to a project on the East Coast, we should no longer be seeing them on the East Bank. They should be coming through the back and getting out. People who are coming from the West Demerara to head to Linden, or people who are coming from Quarantine and heading to the airport must have alternative routes. And all that we're doing in terms of our transport infrastructure is adequately providing for the Guyana that we are talking about. The honorable member was also the Minister of Housing. And the honorable member ought to know where lands are available for the development of new housing areas. People cannot go into new housing areas if they don't have accessibility and utilities. So when you open a road way in the back, you're opening up thousands of acres for housing, new hotels possibly, recreational parks, other development infrastructure, but you're also maintaining what was known as the main thoroughfare, we're upgrading that as well. So thank you very much. 2 separate programs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
2 separate programs, 2 separate programs.
Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at 140400, bridges, provision of bridges, and I see in the profile, if you look at the project profile 130, which is provision for construction of bridges between Kurupukari and Letten. And the total is $4 billion there. So can the honorable minister state, 1, the amount of bridges, I've already said it, but I want to confirm, and the exact money out of this that is allocated for the bridges between Kubukari and Letten.
How many bridges we are going? I told you this.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the whole country is aware because the world has seen that we've gone up to 6 lots, advertising for contractors to bid this project. There are 32 bridges of various sizes and lengths that would have to be built. And you would be agree with me, Mr. Chair, that since these bridges are important to keep traffic between Linden to Lethem, you can't collapse all 32 bridges to build them at the same time. So there is a method in which we're going to be using sections, creating bypasses, and the total project for the bridges, all 32, will not be built this year. That is why the budget says 4 billion, but the appropriation is only for 1.2 billion in 2022. The total project is 4 billion. All 32 can be built in 1 year because we still got to allow people to pass. The trucks got to go with supplies, the people of Region 8 and Region 9. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, thank you for that explanation. 1.2 billion is this year, sir. Sir, can you actually then disaggregate the other 4.46 billion if only 1.2 is for the bridges this year from Kubukari to Lethem?
No, I beg to correct myself, sir. The allocation for the bridges is 4 billion. The allocation for bridges this year is 4 billion. 4 billion for this year. My apologies.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, project code 160-1100. 160-1100, Stellings. I know we have...
Mr. Chair, we have gone to a new project code to transport.
160-1000. No, the light is affecting me. 160-1000.
Stellings.
Good. We have an appropriated sum of $455 million. And when you turn to profile number 146 in volume 3, I know the description of the project here entails provision for leg 1, Fort Island, and Bartica Stellings. To the honorable member, can you provide us with a disaggregation for the 3 stellings to be done? And I know for a fact that leg 1 is under construction, and also Bartica. You know, y'all inherited a nice stelling there at Bartica from us. Modern stellings. So, Comrade Chair, to the honorable member, can you provide us a status report on what is happening at both leg 1 and Bartica Stelling? What percentage would have been paid as 31st of December 2021? Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would have thought that the honorable member would avoid asking questions on this. Mr. Chair, for the simple reason, let's start with Bartica. The total contract sum for Bartica was I think it was just about 413 million, please. It was just over 400 million. The full contract sum for the construction of Bartica Stelling was 400-something million. When we came, 434 million. When we came into office, 90% of the money was already paid, and 15% of the work, 15% of the work. Thanks to the honorable member, Patterson and Ferguson. That's Bartica. That's Bartica. The whole Stelling contract that was signed was for $430-something million. 90+% of the money already paid to the contractor. 50% of the work was done, and the contractor is not currently engaged on the Stelling. We have gone there. We've had an audit to check to see the value of the materials and all the rest of it. Mr. Chairman, but if I stand in this house and I say the APNU was incompetent and they mismanaged and transactions were irregular against the FMAA and use all the dignified terms basically to say that you squandered the people's money, the people of Bartica still don't have a Stelling. So this budget is making appropriation. This is making appropriations for us to be able to have Stelling completed at Bartica. The two, and I want the people of Bartica to know that the PPPC administration will spend $217 million this year, and we will continue next year to the completion of the Bartica Stelling that was messed up and mismanaged by the previous administration. So I'm announcing that to the people of Bartica. Mr. Speaker, let's go to the leg one Stelling now. You will see, sir, that we are spending another $168 million on leg one. Mr. Chairman, it's no secret. It's no secret. I publicly announced the termination of the contractor at leg one. Poor performance. And there again, he was paid far more than the works executed. The man had an involuntary loan, thanks to the Honorable Member David Patterson. Got a loan up front. But what was worse is the nature of the contract. You could imagine a contract says, install 400 and something piles. And a man was able, whatever is the arrangement that took place in the management of this contract, because the word supply was not written into the contract, the man said the government got paid to supply it. So this is the first contractor that you're giving a lump sum contract to build a Stelling. Every other Stelling, the same contractor built before he supplied and installed the piles. But this one, the government got to supply it. Thanks to the Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson. So, we got the gentleman engaged, terminated him. And when we were pushing, we recognized that nobody not going to take this mess. Nobody want to take it over. Nobody wanted it. So we re-engaged him. On the new contract management, on the strict terms and conditions, and go to leg one right now, the work is advancing. And the Honorable Member who presided over the ministry when this is happening is asking about this. $168 million more of taxpayers' money have to go to fix leg one. Thanks to the mismanagement that came, thanks to the question. And I would like you to compare this now, Mr. Speaker, to Fort Island. Compare this to Fort Island. We awarded the contract to Fort Island in the second half of 2021. As I'm standing here speaking, it's 90% complete. Fort Island is 90% complete. Compare the two things. 7 months, 2018, 31st of December. 31st of December 2018. Guyana must take note of that date. After an sweetheart deals were handed out. And who was the minister presiding? The minister's asking me questions here this afternoon. Just compare that to Fort Island. And Fort Island contract is how much? 80-something million? 88 million. 38 million is what will be paid in 2022 to complete Fort Island. A tourist destination, thanks to the businesses that are looking to open overnight accommodation. I beg more people, go to Fort Island, let that island get development. But when we spend government's money, we must come to this parliament with clean hands and say what we did and not pontificate and pretend as if we don't know. We are correcting the mess. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the honorable member. And I need to make, put it before the House here. The bicycle stelling was done in 2 phases. The first phase was completed, and the sums that the honorable member referred to were the retention on the sum. So when the government changed, they were in the second phase, right? So when we come into this house, we don't come for political grandstanding and trying to point fingers. Don't point fingers to people. But that is the fact, Mr. Speaker. I ask a straight question. Can we have a disaggregation and a status report on what is happening at Bicycle and Leg 1?
I allow you some latitude. Honorable members, seems a good time to put a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 312 Public Works, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can move to pages 244 and 245. Honorable members, I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 313, Transportation, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The honorable members, honorable member, I put a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 313, Transport, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we turn to page 647 and 648. And I propose the question, honorable members, honorable member Ms. Ferguson, honorable members on the government side. Honorable members, I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 313, Transport, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Thank you, honorable members. I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Ministry of Public Works, Program 313, Transport, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. On your behalf, let me thank the honorable member, minister and his staff for taking us patiently through the last agency. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, if you would permit me.
Honorable Minister.
May I take the opportunity, sir, to thank my staff at the Ministry of Public Works. Sometimes they don't get what they deserve. The politician at the ministry, it's myself and Minister Indar, we expect all of our staff to be professional. We came to the office by way of politics, they came by way of their qualifications, and we demand professionalism from them. So I would like to thank all of my professional staff at the Ministry of Public Works.
Thank you very much.
Fine job that they are doing. And I would just say, sir, while we're not perfect, we look forward to working with all the people of Guyana to benefit this country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, the Honorable Minister of Labor and his staff are in place. I invite you to turn to pages 270 and 271. Thank you, honorable members. At 5:32, I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 381, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. MacDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, could the minister identify under this same heading, Policy Development and Administration, could the minister identify for us the location of the sheds that were identified, cost?
Honorable Member.
You have a problem with your hearing, sir?
Honorable Member, I have a problem with my hearing.
Okay,
So
sir, are you hearing me now?
Yeah, if you can stay in that particular position, I will hear you. Honorable Member, you can repeat for me, please.
Mr. Speaker, through you to the member, could the minister share with us the cost for the sheds that are identified under that heading and where these sheds are going to be located, a shed or shed where they're going to be located?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just to say that for reference and background, before the People's Progressive Party CIVIC got into office in 2020, there existed no Ministry of Labor. It was a department in the Ministry of Human Services. Secondly, they had no home where they could have rested themselves. Today, 18 months in office, we have a complex of 82 breakdown where the Ministry of Labor and its department, they reside. Last year, we upgraded 2 sections, and this year we are attempting to attach 3 buildings. 1, the labor building proper. 2, a building that was loaned to us by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, and a building that was loaned to us by the Ministry of Human Services. And therefore, the canopy is to allow for both buildings attached to each other, that is the labor building proper, and the building that we now use as the admin building that was loaned to us by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Minister, Honorable Member Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, I just asked for the Honorable Minister to say for us what would be the cost for the shed identified. And while I'm on my feet, I'm hearing you talking about where it's going to be and where it's not going to be, but we would want to be specific to say who would benefit directly from the shed and the buildings that you're talking about.
Mr. Chair, again.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, again, when we took office with a department whose staffing strength was 127, and under the previous government, they just had a staffing of 87. So they were in deficit in the first. What I can say to you that presently, the Ministry of Labor has been granted the authority to increase that staffing strength from 127 to 200. So the answer to the question is the employees, those that I met there, and those that have come since, and the rest that will come. Subsequently, they will benefit from the construction that we are to do at the complex at 82 Brigham.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister state for us the dimension of the shed that is going to be built? The dimension.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, presently I don't have that with me, but I can get that to the National Assembly for circulation.
Thank you. Honorable Member Ms. McDonald.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just under that again, we're looking at furniture. And could the minister, the Honorable Minister, say for us whether the sums allocated there for furniture, whether those would be new or you're talking here about replacement, and whether the process of, if they're new, it means we would have had all the furniture, whether the correct process was done with regards to discarding those furniture.
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, again, we are speaking about a department becoming a ministry, moving from having 87 staff members to nearly 200 or thereabout. It follows that to accommodate those persons, you have to have furniture. And I can assure the honorable member, we're talking about new furniture. Of course, anything to be disposed in the public service, that's Auditor General matter. But what I can assure this House is that all the furniture that we will procure will be new furniture, and we will utilize the national procurement process to ensure that those furniture come to the ministry.
Honorable Member Ms. McDonald.
Could the Honorable Minister say to us or give us a breakdown of the furniture that would be purchased?
Honorable Member, which line item are we on?
The same one we're on, sir. We're looking at capital, policy development and admin, the same.
We're looking at?
Yes, we're under the same heading there, policy development and admin, the same.
She already gone to capital. She hasn't dealt with the current, and you haven't put the matter.
Honorable members, I think I'm still in control of my comprehension and my faculties. I raised the issue to bring the honorable members' attention to we're dealing with the current.
Yes.
So honorable members, what you're asking is the capital, which I haven't proposed as yet. So I proposed the current, which was Agency 38, Program 381. and we are at 270 and 271. Yes. I know you're going to have some questions here, so I just wanted to pull you back to what we have before us at this time. So take a minute and come back to that page, and then you can ask questions in the current, and we will take the questions on the capital as already taken. 270, 271. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the honorable member, if I can turn his attention to page 271, staffing details. And we're looking at code number 6116. And I notice here we have a big jump from 16 to 38 employees. Can the honorable member provide reason or reasons for the increase in staff? That's one. Two, and where are the first five, right? The highest, can you provide the emoluments, the description, and the position for the first five, and also for the first, the last five, the emoluments, their designation, and also the other benefits that they're getting. Also, comrade member, can you say where these persons are assigned to? Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, if this matter was not so serious, I would have been laughing off of my seat, hearing the honorable member asking a question. But just for reference again, the Ministry of Labor that now exists never existed under the former government when the honorable member was a minister in the government, even though very junior. I have said before, the staffing strength of the department should have been, was rather 127. The department was starved. The four ministers that served during the period never paid attention to the labor department, now a ministry. They never filled the vacancies, the 40-odd vacancies. Now, recognizing that the government of the People's Progressive Party said that we promise that once we elected, we will reestablish a Ministry of Labor. And therefore, in the assessment, we have proposed to the Public Service Ministry that the staffing we need is about 200 persons. And for the benefit of the member, when I got there were only 16 labor officers. Today I can report that there will be 26 labor officers. Further, I can report that many regions that never had a labor office or a labor officer, they now have.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the overview. We now have to come to the particulars on this program. If I see it, the strength moved from 25 to 51 on the policy development and administration. And the member is asking, you have a big jump on the wages, and that's what she's asking for you to explain.
Chair, Mr. Chair, very much so. I'm answering a question. And I'm making a point that I can't put the staffing in vacuum. I have to put them at a place. I'm making the point that we have now regional offices through the length and breadth of Guyana. So that is why I want to situate the staff. And that is the reason why I want to situate the staff. And if you would allow me, I'm trying to make the point
And you're going to get, Honorable Minister,
Yes.
over the next hour or however, you will have at least 2 other programs that staffing details will pertain to. And you will get an opportunity after this overview, which you've situated all these staff in, to answer the questions about the particulars of each program and its staffing.
Okay,
We now come back to that.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, there was no administration and the staffing details. This is the administration: 1 receptionist, 4 cleaners, 2 confidential secretary, the permanent secretary, 5 drivers, 2 office assistants, 1 admin assistant, 2 typist clerk, 2 receptionists, public relations officer, legal officer, 3 clerk, 2 data entry clerk, 1 storekeeper, system development officer, procurement officer, 1 stores clerk, 1 handyman, 2 assistants accountant, and 1 accountant.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for upbraiding the honorable member. You must know it's time and place.
Could you please withdraw that comment? I didn't upgrade the Honorable Minister.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable member. Chair.
You didn't hear me.
Pardon?
The description of my action, please.
You didn't upgrade him, you upgraded him.
I didn't upgrade. I'm asking to withdraw that. Upgrade? Oh, not even that. I didn't upgrade him at all. Only His Excellency President Ali can do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Proceeding on. May I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6242, maintenance of buildings. Honorable member, for 2021, I note you had 5 million budgeted and you spent 5.9 million. No, sorry, you had 5.9 million budgeted for 2021 and you had a revised figure of 10.4 million for 2021. First question to the honorable member: what would have caused this increase? Where exactly the monies were spent? And my third question has to do with the new appropriation being sought, which is $4.9 million. Can the honorable member state whether the 4.9 million is sufficient in comparison with what was spent last year, and which buildings are to be maintained? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, just to say that the sum 4.9 is adequate because many of the things that upgrading that we had planned to do, we did it in 2021.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the honorable member failed to answer my other questions. In 2021, you budgeted for 5.8 and you end up spending 5.9.
Honorable Member, you may have to memorize these figures because you're confusing them.
No, sorry. Honorable member, you budgeted 5.9 in 2021 and you spent 10 million in 2021. So the question I asked earlier Why the increase? And just before you respond, and secondly, you're now asking for $4.9 million. And what I'm asking you, which building or buildings to be maintained with this 4.9 million?
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, just to say that, yes, we budgeted 5.9. I said earlier that we had to take 3 buildings to make a ministry. And therefore, in consideration of the works that had to be done, there were environments that we were authorized by the Ministry of Finance to do, and that is the reason why you see 10 point whatever million dollars that was spent to upgrade the complex that we are trying to build.
Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, could the minister say clearly to us why you have such an increase with regards to security, and that's on the line item 6281, security services? Relax yourself, Roy. Yes, could the minister explain to us why we have this drastic increase from 21,362 to 30,064? And could you identify for us the security company? And where the security servicemen or women are assigned to?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm advised that the $30 million because the cost of security services has gone up, and that is the reason why you have that increase. Secondly, the complex, security is at the complex. All 3 of the buildings, that is both the Hatfield Street side and the Brick Dam side, also security service is at the Permanent Secretary's residence. The company presently that is there, that from a previous contract, is RK Security. At the moment, we are about to tender for new security service.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
I did ask for the name of the security service that is going to be, or that is being used.
Somebody isn't listening. I said RK Security Services.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, it's a good time to put a question.
Mr. Chair?
Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Thank you for recognizing me, sir. Line item 6284, other. Can the Honorable Minister disaggregate this sum for us? Tell us the activities that will be covered under this sum.
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Curtains, 35,000. Consultant fees, 3.5 million. Programming of our network 475,000. And sanitax services of $200,000.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Sir, just a follow-up question. Could you tell us about the consultancy that is covered under the sum?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the consultancy services that is to have in the ministry a consultant that will help us to develop a strategic plan for labor and policy, issues about legislation and all of those things taken into consideration. Guyana is moving from one place to the other. The labor force survey, all of that is packaged in the consultancy the work that is to be done, that as a nation we can properly have an understanding about the new jobs that people are likely, we have to train people in. So all of those things will be part and parcel of the consultancy to develop for the ministry.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. St. Louis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, this sum that we're looking at is a meager sum, and the minister has said there are a number of other things, including curtains and other things. Could he be a little bit specific and tell us what's the cost of this particular consultancy?
Honorable Minister.
Okay. Mr. Chair, you know, when members ask questions, they have to pay attention to the answers. I went through and disaggregated this money, $3.9 million for the consultant. I called 4 or 5 items, and I listed what are the costs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. St. Louis. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 381, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let's take page 651. Honorable members, and I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 381, Policy Development and Administration, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Before I recognize honorable members, I think we were at project code 2512300 when I intervened. So the honorable member, Ms. McDonald, you can have the floor and ask your question.
Mr. Speaker, we noticed under this heading here, furniture and equipment, and the question I was asking before.
You're going to have to stay closer to the mic because we're getting a very muffled.
Are you hearing me now, Mr. Chair?
Still not getting you good.
You're not hearing me again?
No, yes.
All right. Yes, Mr. Speaker. We were asking whether, I was asking earlier about the furniture and the equipment that are listed here. Could the minister say to us what equipment we're talking about and the costings of these equipment?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, CCTV camera, desk, biometric time machine, cubicles, low-back chairs, monitors, mic and webcam, television sets, projector and screen, conference table, self-powered PA system, executive chairs, 9,000 BTU AC, equipment and tools for the on-demand laptops, and that is quantity 4, computer workstation, there's quantity 4.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 381, Policy Development and Administration, Capital Expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can turn to pages 272 and 273. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 382, Labor Administration Services, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for acknowledging me. To the honorable member, can I turn your attention to project code 6116? 6116. I noticed here, last year, we had 9 staff for 2021. And for 2022, we are up by 31. Can the honorable member explain to this House the reason for the increase in staffing numbers? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, you have another opportunity.
Mr. Chair, as I was saying sometime earlier, we are moving staffing complement at the Labor Department from 16 to 26. And we are moving staffing complement of the OSH department from 9 to 30. We move staffing complement of the CRMA department by some 5, and also the co-ops department by I think 5. As regards the Labor Department, most if not all of the persons are already hired. I think we just have a couple more to be hired. As regards the Occupation Safety and Health Department, we have hired so far about 50% of the sum total of the persons to be hired. And therefore, that is the reason why you see the increase from 65 budgeted, 65 last year to 85 for 2022.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, to the Honorable Member. Thank you very much for your explanation. The Honorable Member mentioned that late in the year, they will be hiring additional staff. I have 2 questions for the Honorable Member. First, can you say whether the positions will be advertised publicly? Secondly, for the remuneration, I notice here you have an increase from 17 million to 86 million for contracted employee. The question I have here is whether provisions have been made for the new staff or the new personnel that will be hired sometime in the year, or you'll have to come back for supplementary people later down in the year to, cater for the additional staff. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, a couple of things. One, I think already some of my colleagues, they had to explain this to the opposition benches, that hiring of staff during the period, the Ministry of Finance deals with that matter as regards paying for the staffing. So nothing will come back as regards a supplementary for the payment of new staff. Secondly, if you increase staff, it follows that the line item costs will increase. So there's no bafflement there. And the as I have said, we have increased the staffing complement as regard technical officers from 65 to 85. And therefore it follows, I repeat, that the sum will be increased. Additionally, I'm sure the 7% increase is part of what the numbers are showing for 2022.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, on the heading 6113 and 6117, we have noticed there that in 2021, we had a staff total of 28, and then in 2022, we are having 26. In 2021, we have 11, and then in 2022, we're having 7. Could you say to us what was the reason for the decrease in your staff and the totals there for those headings, under those headings where you have other technical and craft skilled, and where you have temporary employees? Could you say whether what's the reason for the decrease?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, 6117, I'm advised that the persons were temporary staff who was left the ministry. 6113, I'm advised that there was resignation of 2 officers. That is why the number has moved downwards from 28 to 26.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, we're looking at technical and other skilled craft skill. Is the minister saying to us that the ministry is now fully staffed, so you don't need the additional, or are you going to be advertising for these persons at some point?
No, earlier I said that we have the authority to hire up to a staffing complement, of course authorized by the Public Service Ministry, of nearly 200 persons. We started the process of hiring people, building a admin department. We had no accounts department, no personnel department, no IT department. All of those are things that we are building, new staff. As regards technical officers, as I said, we only had 9 OSH. That complement will go to 30. And therefore, the hiring of persons continued. It started in 2020, and we still, as I speak to you, people are being interviewed. Some of the recommendations are at the Public Service Ministry, waiting for approval. And we still have to hire more persons. As regards advertisement, what I know is that we have, that is the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency, which is a department of us, that is one of their functions. So it follows that they will do the same advertisement like they do for the private sector and other people. Added to that, we had an advertisement on our Facebook page about the staff, and people responded to that. And even in the early days, when the Guyanese people recognized that a ministry was being reestablished, I can tell you, we have scores of applications that we are still looking at, and many people have been hired via the process. So the hiring continues until we fill the complements of the amount of persons. Really importantly also, is the fact that we have established regional offices. We have determined that all the technical officers that will man those offices, they will belong to the region, and that is what we have been doing. So you have in all the regions, you have persons from the regions who are working in the regions.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Can I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6291, national and other events. What I recognize here, Mr. Chair, is that 3 million was budgeted for, 3.5 million was budgeted for 2021, and only 1.399 million was spent. I notice here for 2022, the ministry is now asking for 18.5 million. In a COVID setting, I guess the honorable member can explain to us what is it that the ministry will be celebrating as national events, and perhaps provide us with a disaggregated list of what these events, right, are. So, to the honorable member.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, just to say that the Ministry of Labor, we are embarking and have embarked on a sensitization program so that will be one of the issues for 2022. Sensitization about labor relations and the rights of workers. I can inform this House that on Friday we have a conference, first of its kind, labor conference, where we will be engaging all the companies in Guyana who operate in the oil and gas sector. Yes, it's a national event. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, oh my God. Mr. Chair, secondly, we will roll out a PR and communication strategy to deal with the issue of safe work, because we have been aggressively dealing with the issue of health and safety. And just for reference, because of the work that was done by that department, we have decreased workplace deaths in our first full year in office by 16%. We have decreased, you all have a hearing problem over there. We have decreased by 16% the incidence of deaths in the workplace, and that was because the Occupation Safety and Health and the Labor Department, they have been out there sensitizing and engaging private sector, public sector, doing training for employers and employees, and that work will continue in the new year. Flyers, brochures, all of those things are involved in that. The other thing, again, the honorable member might say that Occupation Safety and Health Month activities is not a national event, but it's a national event. World National Exhibition, the International Energy Conference, the Ministry of Labor will be there permanently, a booth where our departments will be engaging with the people from the oil and gas sector. We have Child Labor Day and several other COPS Day that are important national events in the calendar of the nation that the Ministry of Labor promotes and will continue to promote, and that this money will be utilized this year to do that.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 382, Labor Administration Services, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, turn to page 651. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 382, Labor Administration Services, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 38, Ministry of Labor, Program 382, Labor Administration Services, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister and your staff, for taking us through your agency. And we now invite the Honorable Minister of Human Services and Social Security and her staff to take up their position in the dome. Honorable members, we will take the break after this presentation. Honorable members, let us turn to pages 278 and 279. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 39, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Program 391, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Natasha Singh Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 6211, the legend indicates that we have 8 new employees in 2022. 6116, sorry, Mr. Chair. Can the minister list the designation and emoluments for these employees?
Honorable Minister.
6116. Contracted employees.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable member, thank you for that question. The designations: Deputy Permanent Secretary, Admin, Admin Assistant, Principal Personnel Officer, System Development Coordinator, Procurement Manager, Procurement Officer, Administrative Assistant, Transport Officer. In that order, 359,124, 96,596, 299,600, 287,058, 187,642, 109,202, 96,595, 81,320.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh Lewis.
Comma Chair, 6241, rental of buildings. I have a 3-part question here. Can the minister say who are the landlords in the rental agreements? What has caused the increase in the rental of the buildings, and where are these buildings located?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's the Mirage Building for the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic. And you wanted to know what the increase was about? It was to that rental.
Honorable Member, Ms. Lewis.
Mr. Chair, I asked about the landlord. and she had given me the location.
The Mirage building, that's the landlord, the Mirage people. Okay.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Mrs.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chair. Follow up to my honorable member question. 6241, rental of buildings. I think my colleague did ask the question, the reason for the increase.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The rental was raised, and we are catering for that increase in the rental. It was raised from 313,500 per month to 361,000 per month. And as I said, it caters for the legal aid entity, which provides free legal services to all those who cannot access legal services.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Madam Chair, thank you. 6281, could the minister tell us the reason for the increase and where are these security services located?
Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Minister, I think security services would come under a different line item, just to bring your attention. Go ahead.
6281 line item, Mr. Speaker. The last time it wasn't the entire year that was catered for. In this budget, the entire year is catered for, and it includes the Special Constabulary and Elite Protection Service.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable members, I now put the Honorable Member, Ms. Maureen, Philadelphia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 6292. I recognize that there is an increase from 2020.
6292?
There is no such thing, Mr. Speaker.
6292, dietary.
Honorable members, allow the Honorable Member to.
Sorry.
Thank you. Honorable members, Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, 6284, other, could the minister disaggregate for us and tell us about the activities that would be under this head?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Honorable Member. So rental of photocopy machines, because we have heavy maintenance cost of the machines, and in order to reduce downtime, so we have been renting machines and at a cost of $402,000, advertisement for public tenders and vacancies notice, editing of interviews, television programs for the ministry, and this is to do with the ministry's work and programs, getting those out there across the country, carpets and window blinds, fixtures and servicing of appliances and other equipment, such as our fire alarm, our CCTV cameras and telephones, Microsoft license suite, Sanitact services, PBX phone systems, and this is because there was an expansion to the ministry and the current PBX system does not have the capacity, so we're improving that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald? No? Honorable Member, Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could the Honorable Minister tell us if there would be any religious holidays under this heading?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. All the religious holidays, we have had a tradition since I'm there at the ministry of observing all of the religious holidays.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Chair, could the minister say for us on the 6294, what does other there indicates?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff ID cards and replacement of new ID cards, because we are considering using a biometric system at the ministry, and we would look towards doing that to improve the efficiency of our staff members and our timekeeping. We're also looking at a stipend for work study, service of UPS power supply, purchase of staff and retirement tokens that are traditionally done, stipend to ministerial tender board, replacing of the mats in the washroom facilities outside the office building, and replacing industrial carpets in our offices, staff t-shirts for when they go out to represent the ministry, and payment of evaluators.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. St. Louis.
Thank you, Chairman Chair. 6302, training, including scholarship. Could the other minister list the types of training and who will be the beneficiaries of this training?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and honorable member. Our staff will be the beneficiaries, and this training includes staff development, project management, and event planning for our ministry, and a diploma in general computering skills. And what we are trying to do is to enhance the capacity and capability of our staff to cater for the enormous amount of work that we've been doing through this ministry that was really never done before. So last year we embarked on a series of events and programs and initiatives. So we are just bringing the staff up to speed at the moment. And I believe in investing in staff too.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Speaker, 6321, subsidies and contributions to local organizations. Could the minister share with us the organizations that are going to be afforded this opportunity?
Honorable Member, I'll just bring the attention to other members. All of these organizations are listed in the budget estimates. And the details are in there. Honorable Minister, you may answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you would like me, I can read it out, but it's page 604 and goes to page 605. Would the member like me to read them all out? Oh, I can, that's all right. Okay.
Honorable Member, Dr. Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 6292, dietary. I noticed there was a revision in 2021 of just 344,000, but now it has gone straight to 18,500,000. Is it new locations, new additions? Do you, I mean, I know you have night shelter and some other places and so, but this dietary, where are we talking about?
Just help me here, honorable members. I think we are at program 391, Policy Development and Administration, current. I'm checking dietary 6292, and I see 0. Am I wrong?
You are correct, Mr. Chair, and there is no such line under this program.
Yeah.
This was the previous question.
Perhaps the honorable member has moved ahead, signal our intention to. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Agency 39, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Program 391, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members can return to page 652. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 39, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Program 391, Policy Development and Administration, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I put a question that the sum stated for Agency 39, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, Program 391, Policy Development and Administration,
Madam Chair.
Expenditure. Honorable Member, Ms. Natasha Singh-Lewis. Go ahead.
If I may refer to the items at 162. Could the minister tell us what are these items and where will they be placed?
I don't remember which page are you on? I heard you said 162. I'm looking for 162. Just put on the mic, I can't hear from there.
Project profile 162.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for this, we have photocopy machines for registry and procurement, cubicles for all the staff on the different floors, multi-purpose printer for procurement and the secretariat, electronic timekeeping system, and I explained why, laptop computers for EPMA, project officer, IT support specialist, transport officer, procurement, desktop computers for admin assistants, accounts and personnel, executive chairs for a number of staff, filing cabinets, admin assistant, project officer personnel, a small refrigerator for the procurement department, external hard drive for personnel and PR, shredder for procurement, a vacuum cleaner for the ministry, a guillotine for EPMA. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Sir, if we can look at 161, we have payment of retention and provision for stores. Can the honorable member provide a disaggregation, tell us what goes to retention and what goes to stores?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are only two items here. I'll start with the simplest one. We're constructing stores because the Namaha Street office really does not have space. And so that's to the tune of $5 million. And the other is a retention on remodeling that was done to the building because we instituted a difficult circumstances unit. And so people who come to access services from the ministry, we want to maintain that dignity. We want to have them comfortably settled. So there's an expansion of that. There's an expansion of space for the procurement unit. Pretty much is to accommodate staff and programs of the Ministry of Human Services.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh-Lewis.
Could the follow-up, Mr. Chair, could the honorable minister tell us where this facility will be constructed?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the Namaha Street office, as I mentioned.
Honorable members, I put the question that the sum stated for Agency 39, Ministry of Human Services
Madam Chair.
and Social Security. Honorable member, you're going to have to decide because this is the second time.
Madam Chair, this is the last question here.
You know, you can ask as many as you want within the time.
I can? Thank you.
Yes, within the time. But, you know, to have us about to put the question and then a reflex action. That's okay, honorable members. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
163, we have cash transfers, electricity bill credit, Survivors Advocate Program, and a media campaign, 970 million. Could the honorable minister disaggregate this sum for us?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, we did a number of excellent programs last year to benefit our pensioners and people living with disabilities, people who are on public assistance, Each one of those categories got $25,000 in a voucher through this line. And now we are also looking towards that again. We looked at expansion of so many programs, and we touched so many thousands of lives across the country. And so this will be used again in that direction. And we are looking at the most vulnerable in our population. We're also looking at the Survivors Advocacy Program, and this is a program that is very special to the ministry. This program deals with how we tackle domestic violence, and it complements the 914 hotline, the 914 app called I Matter, and the Survivors Advocates provide personalized support to people who would have experienced violence and abuse, and we have taken on a number of those persons last year. We are going to expand the complement this year. The intention is to ensure that we have those survivors advocates in all of the regions, and to ensure that there is knowledge about our programs and all of the good work that we're doing, and to ensure that there's excellent access by people across the country. We will be doing a number of media campaigns. We're also looking at strengthening the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security's efficiency, delivery of service. All of that falls under this line, and we would have to cater to for administrative costs as well.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Comrade Speaker, a follow-up question. Or rather, if I may redirect the question. Can the minister tell us, of the 970 million, how much will go to cash transfer, how much will go to electricity credits, how much will go to Survivors Advocate Program, and how much is assigned for the media campaign?
Sure, Mr. Chair. Thank you. 367,209,000 for cash transfers, 77,050,000 for beneficiaries of old age pension. The electricity credits, we've already dealt with that. The Survivors Advocates Program, 59,021,000. Media campaign, 67,351,000, and strengthening of the ministry and how we can have really good output, 236,844,000.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Singh Lewis.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. 164. This caters for technical assistance. Can the minister explain what technical assistance will be provided here?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this actually was something that was sitting on the shelf for a number of years within the last government's administration. And I raise it because these are very important things that we want to do, such as a poverty map. And this was in combination with the IDB project. And the poverty map would help us to determine who are the beneficiaries, where they are, what are their circumstances. It was done, and it was not well done because the population of the poverty map was flawed. So we are now waiting for the survey results, the census survey results, so that we can relook at this. I think I would have mentioned it before, but no, I forgot. You all weren't here last time. And then there is the proxy means test, then the digital specialist who will give oversight to the development of our digital unit, the MISU, and also change management specialists who will work with us to ensure that there is integration of the departments, the information coming out of the department, so that our response will be that much faster and more effective. Project executing and emoluments and equipment, and also consultancies. If you like, I can give you the breakdown because I pretty much figure you'll ask for that. So $8,340,000, $6,255,000, $8,340,000, $6,081,737. 20,983,263, and that's in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, honorable members. I now put Honorable Member Mr. Cameron Ramchitta.
Yeah, in relation to the cash grants, Cindy, Minister, Honorable Minister, could there be a commitment to transparently place this on the website as to who are the beneficiaries?